All right, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome everybody. Glad you all can make it. It's an exciting, eye-opening fellowship today. Excuse me. And, thank you to Sister Marissa for taking the time to put this all together. And, it's very important in so many ways, actually. So, we've gone over the cymatics and frequencies and how the word of Yahuah himself is that frequency of life that gives life to everything. And we've also been over the man-made frequencies and how they affect us negatively. And that has a lot to do with what we're going to get into today. And it's going to be also about the importance of the North, which connects so many things on an even deeper level than we thought before. So truly amazing, and all praise to the Most High Yahuah. So yeah, before we begin, I just wanted to say, thank you to everybody and much love to everybody. It's so amazing to see the fellowship, growing and working together in love and compassion and kindness. It's really such a blessing to see, and it's so amazing, and all praise to the Most High. And before we begin, let me say a prayer, and then after that, feel free to take it over there, Sister Marissa. Ready, Callan? Father, Abba Yahuah, we come to you in prayer to thank you for your blessings and your kindness and your compassion, and also for helping us come together to study out truth in your word. Please continue to guide and bless our fellowship and our family here. We're all going through trials and tribulations, struggles, sicknesses, whatever it may be. Please give us all the strength we need to overcome, and give us the strength we need to endure to the end. And we appreciate being refined through fire. We know it's all a blessing, and we know it's all your will, Father. So we praise for joy while going through these trials and tribulations and struggles. And it just counts as a witness to you and your glory, Father. And I pray to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let it be so. Praise Yah.
Hallelujah.
So, yes.
All right, so I could start the screen share here. Okay, so I put together this presentation, but I used some of the material from the last one, but I thought I'd try to put it into bite-sized chunks, if you will. And the most important part, I think, to understanding the calendar is to understand the nature of Yah. And so, while I was putting this together, I found this picture online, which I thought was really interesting, and that it really resonates with me, but also I thought it might resonate with a lot of you, seeing that a lot of people here are going through some stuff, and you know, I like this picture because it's a reminder to always reach for his word. And Faith said something to me the other day about, it was like feeling better when reading the word, and that always kind of like puts everything in perspective and brings you back to baseline. And I forget how she put it much more eloquently than that, but yeah, that's the concept. Okay, so one of the most interesting things to me is how we can see Yah's nature in all of creation. So just in looking at these pictures here, we have that tree trunk with the spiral, with the circles, and we have that flower. And if you notice, like in the center of that flower, it kind of makes this shape to it, if you will. And so these are not random designs. You know, creation's not chaotic. It's not coincidence. There are no coincidences. And when we look at creation, what we can see is Yah's order in everything. And the word says, for Yahuah is an Elohim of order in 1 Corinthians 14:33. And so we can see the order of his design in the whole fabric of his creation. There's symmetry, there's patterns, and Psalm 19 tells us the heavens declare the glory of El, and the earth shows his handiwork. So it's all very intentional and deliberate, and it is also perpetual. It is infinite. You know, it's replicable. It continues over and over and over. Hebrews 1:3 says, he upholds all things by the power of, by the word of his power. He upholds all things by the word of his power. So that tells us that creation itself is sustained by his presence and by his word. And so it was his word that went forth and created everything. And so there's an order to that. There's a structure to the natural worlds. There's cycles that perpetuate. And so everything that he has made testifies of his character and his faithfulness. It's something that we can rely on. Okay, and so we have here these spirals. I love this seashell spiral. I feel like it is that it really reflects Yah's signature of design. Psalm 104:24 says, O Yahuah, how manifold are your works. In wisdom you made them all. And so we can see how that spirals reflecting that continuous or contiguous nature of Yah in each like spiral within the seashell, within the outermost spiral. And so each layer is building onto the next. And his presence is in the spaces between. So it is the glue that holds everything together. Yah meets us here in between the spirals or in between the cycles. He is in the transition space where change and growth occur. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am Elohim." And so understanding Yah's nature deepens our walk, and we return to him repeatedly, but at a higher level. He takes us to these higher levels of understanding, or deeper, however you want to look at it, simultaneously provides depth in our life experiences and in our understanding of his word. And that's what it is for when we say that scripture is a living word, is because there's meanings, there's multiple meanings written between the lines. So Psalm 104:24. Oh wait, I read that one, sorry. Okay, and so if we look here at the drop picture, we can see how when that drop hits the water, it like reverberates from inside out, and it creates this continuous echo, if you will, in the water. And so time is very much like that too. It's cyclical, but it is always moving forward. And so the days and the months and the seasons and years, they all build on one another. Genesis 8:22 says, "While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter shall not cease." So on the right here, I have the picture of those cymatics, and I'm not sure if Jeremy decided that he was going to share a few things of those later, but we can see how Yah's nature is expressed through harmony and through sound. It's not out of chaos. Psalm 150 says, "Let everything that has breath praise Yahuah." And so we can see that how frequency has an impact on the world too, on creation as well. And if you think about it, the beginning of Genesis is Yahuah said, "Let there be light." So that word "said" is that spoken word, but that spoken word is sound and is frequency. And so of course that's interwoven into all of his creation. His voice brings order to creation. Psalm 33, "By the word of Yahuah the heavens were made," by his word. And so creation responds to his frequency. Psalm 147 says, "He sends out his word and melts them. He causes his wind to blow and the waters flow." So his spoken word is what brings harmony and justice and peace. Just as sound forms the patterns in cymatics, his word forms reality. Genesis 1, "And Elohim said, let there be. And it was so." And these cymatics, the stars actually make. So if you were to zoom into the stars, you would see shapes like this. And so one of the most fascinating things that I've come across in, I'd say the last month or so, was that video, "The Lost History of the Flat Earth." And that was the first time I'd ever seen a toroidal field. And so we have a picture on the right here of that toroidal field around the Earth. So the Earth is a whole toroidal field, and that demonstrates continuous and self-sustaining and balanced design in his creation. And there are toroidal fields in other ways, like in the middle picture, we can see that toroidal field within ourselves. So there's a bigger one for the earth and then the smaller one within ourselves. This is energy. And so Jeremy has some videos to share with you guys to explain these toroidal fields a little bit more.
Yes, yes. Let me get them up on screen here for everybody. And oh, you gotta stop sharing there, Sister Marissa.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Oh, okay. It gave me a thing that said you're sharing. But so this is gonna be excuse me, from Lost History of the Flat Earth. And we're going to play about 9 or 10 minutes of this video here. And I'll put the link here in the chat for everybody real quick. And I did share a video in the chat about cymatic Tartaria. And that goes into even more detail about it. It's about an hour long. And I highly recommend watching that one as well. But this is going to go into more detail of those toroidal vortexes and just shows how, Yahuah works with these things. And so let me pause, or let me mute my mic and I'll go ahead and play it here.
Disclose reasons for demonizing and restricting Mercury. Let's look a little closer at this extraordinary element's electromagnetic potential. Mercury is an electrically conductive liquid, and because of this, it has historically been applied to create light switches, electrodes in some batteries, as a gas to create fluorescent lighting, and, most interestingly, it was used, we are told, in lighthouses. According to the mainstream historical narrative, lighthouse keepers were responsible for keeping the massive lens at the top of the lighthouse spinning all day, every day. A spinning lens turning at a set speed made the light flash. They usually achieved this by setting the lens on wheels or bearings attached to clockworks that the keeper would periodically wind. In the late 19th century, some keepers, sick to death with having to keep winding the clockwork, began floating their lenses in liquid mercury. The lens's metal base spun more easily in the mercury, which helped the light rotate faster with less frequent winding. It is a practice still in use in some lighthouses today. It is evident from its structure that the lighthouse's sole function was not just to light the way for ships. It was either one of its functions among many others, or just an inherited act of repurposement. Many lighthouses are constructed in the familiar octagonal structure. Many have the red and white stripes, indicative of power stations. Many still have their antennas, and they were situated right next to the water. It is obvious that they had a similar role as many of the old world's power stations we find repurposed and rebranded all across our realm. Lindau Lighthouse in Germany is a fascinating example. We see all the familiar dentils and holes, suggestive of vibration and frequency manipulation. We see the octagonal cupola. They have replaced the original antenna with New World junk, and oddly the structure has a clock. And although those of the old world made the most advanced clocks ever seen, the presence of a clock face here appears superfluous. Perhaps the abundance of clock faces we see on so many of the old world structures and towers are actually repurposed steam gauges that used to be present to measure the pressure of the energetic water. The intricate and complex design of these lighthouses would have been a feat of engineering for those of the 19th century and their predecessors, unless those that came before the 19th century were technologically advanced, which of course they were. Mercury's role in lens rotation is a subtle example of repurposement. It is very likely that the complex apparatus at the top of these lighthouses were modified as illuminated lenses during the Great Reset, and what existed before operated to extract ethereal energy. For most of the 19th century, gas and oil burners were used as sources of light in these structures. And yet look at the size of some of these lenses. Look at the complexity of the designs. All to house light running on gas and oil? I don't think so. The history of the lighthouse is of utmost importance because it, one, provides evidence of Mercury being present in some kind of apparatus directly located in a cupola, the very spot we see emptied on so many structures today. And two, because Mercury's presence here was to enable the lenses to spin and rotate more easily. And that's very interesting, because look what happens when you apply magnetism and electricity to Mercury. It rotates and creates a vortex, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, depending on the application of the current. A vortex, as you know, is an integral expression of a toroidal field. There are three main types of vortexes: electrical, magnetic, and electromagnetic. In addition to Mercury's electromagnetic potential and its susceptibility to form a vortex when under the influence of current, the silver water also has another unrecognized application. Look. No wonder Mercury is demonized and illegal. As you can see, Mercury is able to provide even a homemade television antenna with the ability to convert radio frequency alternating currents to extract a television signal. Antennas can be designed to transmit and receive electromagnetic waves in all directions equally. And you could hypothesize that the orbs on the old world's antennas contained mercury. But again, it is no secret that mercury amalgamates with gold and other metals. An amalgam is an alloy of mercury and another metal. Mercury strongly amalgamates with gold, copper, silver, and many other metals. The only common exception is iron. The orbs could not have contained mercury because, as you saw, mercury would have scavenged the gold, silver.
All right. So as you can see, you know, those toroidal vortices, that's exactly what, you know, the shape of our Earth is here. You know, that's that center part where everything goes through the center, through the north. the north is very, very important. And sorry, I let it go just a bit over. But, you know, feel free to watch the rest of that video whenever. But this one here is really fascinating. And it's not too long, only a minute or so. And then we just got a couple more, you know, minute-long videos. But this is all going to connect everything together here. And let me get the link in chat for everybody. And then let me go ahead and play the video.
Actually a pump. The heart is in the shape of a chestahedron, a seven-sided shape where all the surface areas are the same. When placing a chestahedron in a box, it sits on an angle of 36 degrees off center. This is the same angle which the heart sits in the chest, hence why it's called a chestahedron. Placing a chestahedron in water creates a vortex in the water, and your heart tissues is in a vortex spiral. Your heart is actually one muscle but wrapped in a spiraling vortex form. This is because your heart is a vortex energy generator. Blood enters the heart and creates a vortex spiral inside of the heart. Your heart turns water in the blood into plasma, the fourth state of water, which they'll never tell you about. Plasma makes up approximately 55% of your blood. The earth is electromagnetic. The reason why heart rearranged is earth is because the heart takes the electromagnetic energy of the earth and turns this into plasma in the blood to run the physical body. Your heart is directly connected to the universe, to the electromagnetic energy of the earth. This is why we always see Jesus pointing at his heart. Your heart is inside of the chest. This is where the treasure is, inside of the heart. Your heart contains 40,000 neurons, which is the exact same cells in your brain. The heart is the emotional brain which gives you guidance. It tells you what is right and what is wrong. This is why we say follow your heart.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, and that's really cool too. Miranda shared with me the other day that there are 4 chambers in the heart. And whenever you look at a picture of those chambers, they'll have half of it will be blue, and then the other half will be red. And so that's showing like the positive and the negative that flow of the blood and how it all recycles in the heart and is making that vortex as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, our heart isn't a pump like they try to say. It's more of a vortex that causes our blood to flow through our body. It's really amazing. And so this video here is just going to show how cymatics, or these sound frequencies, will create different designs and patterns. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, thank you for sharing that picture, Sister Marissa. So this one is just, yeah, it's going to go into the cymatics, the sound waves or frequencies, and how it makes these certain patterns. Just like the patterns we saw on Marissa's slide there earlier. And just like the patterns in the windows we see on some of these old buildings and such. And let me go ahead and play it.
The first experiment for the cymatics music video is called a Chladni plate. Now, Chladni plate's basically a metal plate attached to the top of a speaker. There's sand on top of the plate, and you play different tones through the speaker. The plate vibrates, which forms different shapes depending on the frequency of the sound.
Well, we blew up a lot of speakers with the Chladni plate. So there was a lot of experimenting around the Chladni plate, primarily looking at how much volume we can put through there, how much sand to actually put on the plate, and the different shapes of plates and what different patterns would be created because of those shapes. But what we were really testing was what frequencies create the most interesting repeatable patterns, because that was a key point. So we ended up playing pretty much every audio frequency through the plate to see what different shapes it would form.
And for most frequencies, it doesn't really do much. But when it hits a frequency that resonates with the plate, it forms a really nice pure shape. So we found out what those tones were, and those were the tones we used to draw the plate in the video.
Alright, so, oops, let me pause. Oops, it stopped. Okay. So this one, it's going to show us more about these frequencies and sound, and this one is called sonoluminescence. And these are just, recovering what we've covered in the past in more detail, but we're going to see exactly what the stars above us, the sun, the moon, all these things are. And it's created from, the praises of the angels singing to Yahuah day and night. They're creating these cymatics with their voice, just like we do. And this is going to be, I'll just play the video here.
It's a process called sonoluminescence.
The first time I saw sonoluminescence was in a darkened room. I was transfixed to look at this spherical flask of fluid. And you look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star. What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees. And Seth Putterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility. Could the core of the collapsing bubble be even hotter? Hot enough for fusion?
One of the mysteries of sonoluminescence is to determine exactly how hot the interior of the bubble gets. In the sun, the interior can be millions of degrees, hot enough to cause fusion. And the thought crossed my mind that perhaps inside the collapsing bubble, the interior of the bubble might also get hot enough to cause fusion.
If so, this would be something truly amazing. By simply bombarding tiny bubbles with sound waves, temperatures of over 10 million degrees would be created. And nuclear fusion, the same reaction that powers the sun, would be happening almost effortlessly here on Earth.
Pretty fascinating stuff there. And just one more quick video here. And actually, let me get the link for this before, and I'll put in, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I think I messed up the link. Hold on 1 second. Come on, my computer's being difficult, sorry. Here, let me get the link for this video here in the chat. And if you just type in "star in a jar" on YouTube, that'll probably be the first video that pops up for you. And this one, let me get the link. And this one is going to show, a star with a zoomed in by a Nikon P1000. And we're going to see the exact same thing happening as we did on the sonoluminescence video there. Let me go ahead and mute, and I'll play this. Yeah, so as you can see, what we see that are stars is really sonoluminescence. It's the angels singing to Yahuah day and night above the firmament, in that fluid above the firmament, the waters separated from the waters. And it's all truly amazing. And it all connects to exactly with what we're finding here with the calendar and everything Sister Marissa here is presenting to us.
Yeah, and those the star cymatics, that reminds me of snowflakes too, because they all look different as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so we can see Yah's handiwork in all of nature and how it makes those perpetual patterns, if you will. And so another thing that I thought about, when I saw that toroidal field, was, well, the sun and the moon, they're actually plasma. And so, thinking about that, how the luminaries move around above the plane of the earth, how are they charged? How do they just float like that? So that's just, something that made me think about it. And so if that's the case, then how do we see Yah's nature in what the luminaries are doing in their cycles? And how do we apply that to the calendar? There's a lot of different calendars out there, and the one that I was previously on before being in this group was the Zadok calendar that they start the Wednesday closest to the equinox, and every 5 or 6 years or however long, then they add a leap week. But if time is also continuous and perpetual, then how would just throwing a week in truly align with the nature of Yah? It wouldn't. So that gives us years that move from one to the next, and there's a cycle for it that is perpetual and will continue for eternity, because it's Yah's calendar, and it is run by the luminaries, which are plasma, which are charged by this toroidal field, and so this goes a lot deeper than just like, hey guys, when is the new year? When is the biblical new year? Like, it's a lot deeper than that, than I think most people realize. And so people will, like men, will apply their own understanding and their mathematical calculations for the calendar, but what they're missing there is the heart of it all, is the fabric of creation, is that frequency, is that spoken word, is the nature of Yah. That's what's missing. And so let me screen share where I was at. All right. So, yeah, if you look at that picture on the right, you can see the sun there and that spiral that it makes. And that's really interesting too. And not that is, like to size, like a proper model, if you will, but the concept that we can see there is that spiral in the middle. And that reminds me of Charlie's picture, actually, the drawing that she did of the sun's cycle above the earth. And so in her drawing, she has the outermost circle, and then like going to the innermost circle, but it's not all, like, the sun doesn't move at one altitude. It has its lowest altitude in the winter and the highest altitude in the summer. So it's also like moving up and down. And so its circuit is moving in that spiral upwards, and then it spirals back downwards. And so, yeah, that picture reminds me of that there. With the toroidal field, and then imagining that sun and the moon as the plasma moving around inside of it. That's how they're charged. So when it comes to the calendar, or when it comes to the nature of Yah, or just I'm thinking about the ferns. I don't know, like a fern has its leaves are like smaller ferns, so it's this pattern that like perpetuates and replicates. And so we can read here in Colossians 1:17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And so what does it mean that he is before all things? Well, exactly how it reads in Genesis, and also I'm thinking of the quote from John, where it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So he is before all of his creation. He has that preeminence. He was before we were. He was pre-existent before ever saying, let there be light. So that, and then that's when Mashiach comes from his mouth, is the word, the spoken word. And then we see that replicate all throughout scripture, and then the word is made flesh, and it's a lot of like echoes from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. And all those echoes and those reference points and the things like in the beginning that sound like the things written at the end, it is all an example of Yah's nature. And so it says, and by him all things consist. So what does this word consist mean? It means to set together, to unite, and to combine into order. So Yah sets things together and he holds everything together. So it means more than just existing. This word shows us that all creation is actively set together, arranged, and held in unity by Yahuah through Messiah, through his spoken word. So that is the very nature of Yah. And so what does that mean when it comes to time? So we have to decide that for ourselves when it comes to the calendar. Revelation 22 says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. He is the great I am. So, Sister Natalie made this image for me. Well, and this was interesting to me because I didn't realize that Alpha and Omega is Greek. And so that's the first and the last letter of the Greek alphabet. But we'll also hear, I am the Aleph and the Tav. And that's Hebrew. For the end and the beginning, So either or, Alpha, Omega, Aleph, and Tav, that is him. And that's interesting too, because his nature then echoes into language as well, into alphabets. And so now that we realize what Yah's nature is and how he is that glue, he is that synestemai, he is the consist, we can think about how we reckon the calendar then. And so I worked on this image again, and I originally used the term the head of days, which was not a term that I came up with, and it didn't sit right with me because there are different meanings to head of days and ancient of days. While they both have similarities, there's also distinguishing differences in them. So it's not a term that I want to use. And so when I was thinking about this, Jeremy brought up how in the Dead Sea Scrolls it talks about the OT sign. So, or what is the oat? And so I looked up that word sign in scripture to see what it says in the Strongs. So the word sign means token, or mark, miracles, signal, distinguishing mark, banner, miraculous sign. And that reminded me of Jubilees 1:9. It says, and Yahuah appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for jubilees and for all seasons of the years. So that's interesting because Yah is the great I am, and he gave us a great sign. And the word sign in Hebrew are in these little letters where I replaced head of days with it. So you can, that in Hebrew literally says sign. So you can look at this as, well, that's the great sign. But the word for sign actually has the aleph and the tav in it. And so the first letter is the aleph for first and beginning, and the last letter is the tav for last and ending. But in the middle is a vav. And that's interesting too, because a vav means hook or to bind together, to connect or fasten. And so Yah, being the great I am, who has given us the great sign, uses that as a connector and simultaneously a divider between the years. This great sign is representative of him as the preeminent before all things. And the evidence that by him all things consist. So when we think about that nature of Yah and how his patterns are perpetual and infinite, this spiral picture in front of us starts to make sense. And so on the left side, we can see the gold emblem there with the word sign. And we have the first 3 days of creation. But on the fourth day, he set forth the sun from his chamber. He set forth the sun on his circuit. He set the sun forth on the curve of time. And that's really amazing when we think about how that equinox sign is a straight line, but the next day it begins to curve. And so that straight line is also of Yah's nature. He says that he will make our paths straight. And so I have the spiral going from day 4 all the way around. You start counting on the 4th day of the week, day 1 of the year, and you count and go all the way around the spiral to day 364. We are told that the years are 364 days. We're told to number our days. Scripture says, teach me how to number our days. And so when we get to 364, what happens next? We're looking for the great sign. And so we have that emblem again with that word. And so he is that synestomai that holds the years together. He's the glue. like the spirals on a seashell. Each of them were their own little individual spirals, but they were all part of this bigger spiral. And in between the spaces is Yah, holding it all together. You know, when we even think about the situations in our lives, we could be going through just some of the hardest things, you know, and that, in that brokenness, in that when we feel like we're going through the fire, when we're being refined, when we're being tested, when trials come our way, that is where Yah meets us. In the in-between, that space where change and growth occur, that he meets us in the midst of all that. And he meets us in the midst of the years too. Isaiah 46:10 says, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come, saying, my counsel will be established. I will accomplish all my purpose. And so when we think about that word sign, right, you got the aleph on one side, the tav on the other side, you got the vav in the middle as the fastener. So he's that fastener in the middle, and he makes known the end from the beginning. That's why I call that day, you may have heard me call it day 365/0, because it's after 364, but it's before 1. He makes known the end from the beginning, and he gives us that great sign to do so. This next part is from the Dead Sea Scrolls. In the course of seasons, in their order, by their signs for their dominion, in the order established through Yah's mouth, and through the witness of what is, and this will be, and nothing more. Besides it, there is no other, nor will there ever be another. For the Elohim of knowledge has established it, and no one else with him. So Yah has that preeminence, and his word goes out, and he establishes all things by it. So just a summary of this first portion. Yah's luminary calendar shows the divine rhythm woven into creation. So that spiral, we can see his infinite nature. The movements of the sun, moon, and stars are not random. They are appointed by Yahuah to govern days, months, seasons, and years. And that's interesting too. Like, they are appointed by Yah to govern. So he is like the general of an army. He is the one who commands and appoints. He delegates. He tells everyone what to do, essentially, and he does that with the luminaries as well. There's a lot of verbiage that sounds like an army when it comes to the calendar and the order of things. I'm talking with my hands, so it flipped. Sorry. Okay, so these celestial rhythms form the framework of his calendar, faithfully marking his appointed times and aligning heaven and earth in a perpetual cycle of order and meaning. Well, heaven and earth have to align. Look at that whole toroidal field. It's all part of each other. And so I don't have the tabernacle in this presentation, but the tabernacle, if you've seen Andy Hoy's um, model of it, it was round, just like the firmament. And what interested me was that very top piece in the middle, the white, I think it's like a fabric or a skin or whatever it's made of. I can't remember, but it is right above the top in the middle, which is very symbolic for the North as well. Okay. Scripture and the writings of Enoch affirm that these luminaries were placed with purpose, not just to sustain life, but to reveal covenant and divine timing. Timing is divine because it's reflective of his nature. Unlike human-made systems that falter, this design holds time itself together without fail. You know, we see that in the Torah community with all these calendars and the, oh, but I think this, and oh, but I think that, and that, you know, here's all my calculations, and this is the right year to do the leap week or the leap month. That's not reflective of Yah's nature. Not at all. That's like throwing throwing a monkey wrench in a cog in the wheel, where the wheel is his nature.
We can't. Sorry to interrupt real quick, but
No, go ahead.
no, we can't throw that monkey wrench into the picture every so many years, because then it becomes uncyclical. It's no longer a solid fluid time. There's a disruption, and it's a really big one. So we see, we can't be adding a week or a month or anything like that.
Right. And like too, that is what always bothered me with how we were previously doing the calendar, because it was throwing a day in the fourth season that was not the same as the other 3 seasons. And so we can't do that either. It's 364 days. So, all right, so year after year, the pattern continues, not as a rigid loop, but as a living spiral, always moving forward, always pointing us back to the one who holds all things together. When we align with his calendar, we enter his rhythm, a rhythm testifying to his faithfulness, his sovereignty, and desire to dwell in the midst of his people. That's a loaded sentence. That's why this is so beautiful, and the depth of it. It resonates somewhere deep inside of me, probably in that vortex of my heart, like the energy within me that is resonating with that energy of the world and what his nature is in all the fabric of creation and everything that he's made, including us. And so that heart, this is the heart of the whole matter in everything with the calendar, but also in everything in general. We can ask ourselves, does this reflect the nature of Yah? And when we can use that as a measuring stick, it will be easier to spot the things that are false. And it refines our discernment for any part of life, truly. So, and I love that too, and his desire to dwell in the midst of his people. So to be in the midst is part of his nature as well. Throughout scripture, the phrase "in the midst" appears again and again, revealing something profound about the nature of Yah. To be in the midst is not merely a description of location, it is a revelation of his nature. And that's what this whole first part of this presentation really is. It's a revelation of his nature. It's very profound. His presence dwells at the center of all things, in the earth, in the heavens, in his people, and within the very order of time itself. The pattern of in the midst is the pattern of balance and divine order, continually drawing creation back to its center, to him who is before all things. And so we will see that in the calendar as well. So Yah's presence governs the flow of time, and it holds together the cycles of days and weeks and months and years. And so on the right, I love this picture so much because it shows you the gates or the portals that the sun moves through, and we can see how it returns back to the same spot at the beginning of the year. And these are not like in order for the biblical year, I can tell, but it will make this perpetual pattern. It will go forward and then backwards again. So Yah sets the rhythms of life and the seasons, aligning humanity with his appointed times. I believe when he says that this shall be to you the beginning of the months. So he is showing Moses there, like, this is the start of everything. And Yah's appointed times are fixed. They're orderly, they're unmoving, they do not change. In the same way that his Sabbaths are fixed. And that's why the great sign is an anchor for his calendar. So there's no need for man-made calculations. The luminaries are doing that for us. We just have to understand Yah's nature and apply it to the order of time itself. And so I have a couple scriptures here that I listed that I wanted to read to you guys. Specifically about that great sign, we can see evidence of that in Enoch 72:5. It says, the chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heavens. So this great sign is what keeps the world on track, and it's showing that every moment is truly under his guidance, because again, he is the one that commands these luminaries and has set them forth on their circuits. And so that day 4, that setting forth, that first day on the curve of time, when we realize that that is truly day 1, then we can understand that that great sign is the preeminence of Yah. It is him who is before all things. I think it's pronounced Habakkuk. Chapter 3, verse 2 says, O Yahuah, I have heard your speech and was afraid. O Yahuah, revive your work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known. In wrath, remember mercy. So that's huge too. His work is in the midst of the years. It's because he has the preeminence and he's holding time itself together. Amos 7 says, Yahuah repented for this. This also shall not be, says Adonai Yahuah. Thus he showed me, and behold, Adonai stood upon a wall made by a plumb line, with a plumb line in his hand. And Yahuah said unto me, Amos, what do you see? And I said, a plumb line. Then said Adonai, behold, I will set a plumb line in the midst of my people Yasharel. I will not again pass by them any more. So he sets a plumb line in the midst of the years. That straight line shadow. When the sun rises at 90 degrees east and sets at 270 degrees west, it is set apart from the curve of time. Just as Yah is set apart. So we see Yah in the order of time. We also see him in the heavens. So Yah stands at the center of the heavens, and he guides the sun, moon, and stars, and keeps them in their paths. The movement of the celestial bodies shows his order and care, keeping everything in balance and sustaining life on earth. The heavens are not random. They show the stability and attention of the one who set them in motion. So they're not just up there doing their own thing. They are appointed, they are commanded, they are instructed. Yah tells them what to do. And so we have Psalm 19 here. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he set up a tent for the sun, or a tabernacle. And it is like a bridegroom coming out of his room. It rejoices like a strong man to run the path. Other versions say, like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoices like a strong man to run the race. And so it's interesting because then where is that chamber? Or that chamber day, if you will. On day 4, the bridegroom came out of his chamber like a strong man to run the race. So that chamber then is the very preeminence of Yah, who is before all things, who is before the race, if you will. So Joshua 10 says, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of righteousness? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hastened not to come about a whole day. Yah is instructing these luminaries so much so he can also cause them to stop, to stand still. He's the one in control of these. And those luminaries are his clock in the sky. It is his timepiece. And what we are to go by as his people. Where to hearken to his word. He's telling us what the time is. And so if we so choose to say, nah, I'm just going to do Wednesday, I'm going to do Saturday Sabbath, it's easier for me, it's more convenient. How is that hearkening to his word, his voice, to his timepiece that he's set for us? It's not. It's deliberately disobeying him, especially once we know better. And that is not a judgment for those who don't know better, because many people don't realize this. And so Revelation 21 says, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the set apart Jerusalem, descending out of the heaven from Elohim, having the esteem of Elohim. And her light was like a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and having a great and high wall, having 12 gates, and at the gates 12 messengers, and names written on them, which are those of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasharel." So even in New Jerusalem, it echoes Yah's nature. And so we can see the 12 gates, we can see the 12 tribes, we can see the 12 disciples, we can see the 12 months of the year. And that his nature is echoed through that, and also when we think about the heart too. Miranda shared there's 4 chambers of the heart. There's also 4 seasons. But did you know that in the heart there's 12 poles? On an EKG they have 12 lead lines because there's 6 positive and 6 negative poles. There's also 12 portals. There's 6 in the east and 6 in the west. So this is a lot deeper than just, what's the date for Passover next year? It's really beautiful. So we've seen Yah in the order of time. We've seen him in the heavens. We also see Yah at the center of the earth. So Yah's presence dwells at the very center of the earth. He is actively sustaining and protecting his creation. And there's a lot of scriptures for this as well, where Yah is like at the center of all things on earth and in heaven. Yah is the one who separates what is holy from what is common. And that actually reminds me of the Zadok priests. Yah's ordained priesthood. They are the ones who provide the guidance between what is holy and what is profane. They are the judges, and they judge righteously. And so, let's see where I am. Yah marks certain places as sacred where his people can experience protection and blessing. We just read that verse where it says that New Jerusalem descends out of heaven and sets on a great and high mountain. So he is the one choosing the location for that as well. The earth itself reflects his order and purpose and shows us that everything in creation is held together by his presence and his care. And we can read in Exodus 8, it says, "And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end you may know that I am Yahuah in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow shall this sign be." It's really interesting. Tomorrow shall this sign be. We have that word sign again. We're told Yah has a mark. And on the right hand and on the forehead, this is symbolic of our thoughts and our actions. So do our thoughts and our actions align with the nature of Yah? Do we hearken to his word? When he tells us, when he reveals truth to us, do we pick up our tents and follow him? Or do we say, no, it's comfortable where I'm at, I'm just going to stay here? Jubilees 8:19 says, "And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies, and the dwelling of the Lord, and Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other." So that one's really interesting because it's talking again about Mount Zion being in the center, and that's where New Jerusalem comes down. Psalm 74 says, "For Elohim is my king of old, working Yeshua in the midst of the earth." He's working salvation and mercy for his people in the midst of the earth. Because that is Yah's heart. His heart is to dwell in the midst of his people, providing guidance and protection and order. He is the one that makes our paths straight. He leads us on the path of righteousness. And we have that choice if we want to hearken to his word. His presence sets apart sacred spaces like the tabernacle and the high priest, and keeps the community aligned with his instructions. So that is evident when we read Deuteronomy 23. "For Yahuah, your Elohim, walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore, your camp shall be set apart, so that he does not see unclean matter among you, and shall turn away from you." And Numbers 2:17 says, "Then the tabernacle of the assembly shall set forward with the camp of the Levites in the midst of the camp. As they encamp, so shall they set forward, every man in his place by their standards." So just as Yah's dwelling was in the center of the wilderness camp, so too the high priest stands in the midst of his people. The tabernacle represents the divine heart among Yasharel. It reflects his nature. This is Yah's word echoing through all creation and the whole book from the beginning to the end. And so by being at the center of his people, he ensures that they reflect his care and follow the patterns he has established for life and for the worship of him. And this is, I found this verse quite fascinating too in 1 Kings. In front of the oracle, in the midst of the house within. And before I finished this scripture, an oracle is an inner sanctuary. It is the Holy of Holies. It is the innermost chamber. It is the center of the Exodus tabernacle. It is the midst of the house. So in front of the oracle, in the midst of the house within, in order to put there the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuah. And on the heads of the pillars, he made lily work against the porch. Now, allow this to paint the picture for you guys. On the heads of the pillars, he made lily work against the porch of 4 cubits. The length was 20 cubits. The breadth was 20 cubits. And the height of it was 20 cubits. So it's just explaining, the construction of that. And he covered it with perfect gold. And he made an altar in front of the oracle and covered it with gold. And he set up the pillars of the porch of the temple. And he set up the one pillar and called its name Jachin. And he set up the second pillar and called its name Boaz. And so Jeremy made this picture of that for us where we can see Boaz on the left there. And Boaz actually means fleetness. And Jachin means he will establish. And in the middle, we have the abode of glory. And this is really beautiful too, because it reminds me of the Hebrew letters for sign, where we have the Aleph and the Tav on each side, but then in the middle we have the Vav as the connector, reflected in this picture as the abode of glory is the Vav, the fastener, holding these two pillars together. And they represent the ending of the old year and the start of the new. So this is revealing Yah's nature also in the calendar. He's the Aleph and the Tav and the Vav. He's all of it. Okay, and then we also see these pillars in 2 Chronicles. Chapter 3, it says, he made also chains for the oracle, or the inner sanctuary, and put them on the heads of the pillars, and made 100 pomegranates, and put them among the chains. And he set up the pillars before the temple, one on the right hand and the other on the left, and called that on the right hand Jachin, and that on the left hand Boaz. All right. And so, so in that picture, we had the abode of glory in the middle. And it's actually spoken about in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This fragment says, when the lights shine out of the holy vault. So what's a vault, right? When they retire to the abode of glory. At the entry of the seasons, in the days of the new months, together with their rotations, during their stations, renewing each other. It is a great day for the Holy of Holies, and a sign of the opening of his everlasting mercies, for the beginnings of the seasons in every future age. at the commencement of the months in their seasons, and of the holy days in their sequence, as a reminder in their seasons. With the offering of lips I shall bless him in accordance with the decree recorded forever. So Yah's abode of glory is reflected on earth and in heaven. John 14 says, Yahusha answered and said unto him, If a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and will come unto him, and make our abode with him. That word abode means staying, or residence, the act or the place, abode or mansion. There's that scripture that says, in my Father's house there are many mansions. So where is, in relation to the calendar, where is his abode of glory? And so this is where that significance of the north is. So now we understand the nature of Yah and how it reflects through his creation and through time and through the sequence of the years and the months, and we can see it reflected in the midst of his people. We can see the beginning of the book reflecting in the end of the book, and how everything all connects together, and the connector itself is him. And so if he is in the midst, his abode of glory is as well. And in the midst is the north. Ezekiel 43:5 says, So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the esteem of Yahuah filled the house. And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house, and the man stood by me. And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Yasharel forever. And my holy name shall the house of Yasharel no more defile, neither they nor their kings, by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places. So that's an interesting verse on number 7 here, because he's revealing to you his abode of glory, but then also rebuking their kings for their whoredom. And so we have to think, well, what does he mean by their whoredom? And it's really, what would make Yah jealous here? You know, for not recognizing his place in the midst. And so I have at the bottom here, Yah's set apart place of his throne, and the soles of his feet is in the north, or northward. And so in this picture I have the North Star. We also have Polaris. Polaris stays in the same spot all the time, in the north. It is at the very top center of the dome. And yes, for us, it may look like off to the side, but if you think about the entirety of the earth, if you're not directly underneath the North Star on the dome and you're off to the side, then the star is going to look off to the side. But it's not really. That is the center of the dome. So I have Ezekiel 8 here. And he stretched out the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my hair. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heavens. So consider the perspective that he is looking from here. The Spirit has lifted him up between the earth and the heavens, and brought me in visions of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of jealousy was, which causes jealousy. And see, the esteem of Elohim of Yasharel was there, like the vision that I saw in the plain. And he said to me, Son of man, please lift your eyes toward the north. And I lifted my eyes northward. And north of the slaughter place gate, I saw this image of jealousy in the entrance. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The great abominations which the house of Yasharel are doing here, driving me away from my set-apart place. And you are to see still greater abominations. These verses are absolutely loaded. And so, when you think of like the north gate of the inner court and you're thinking about the temple and everything, you're thinking about what is on earth, but we know what is on earth is what is in heaven. And so his inner court, his inner sanctuary, his oracle, his abode of glory, this is all in the north, in the heaven. But it says here that the seat of the image of jealousy was there, which causes jealousy. Yahuah is a jealous El. And he just accused the kings in the previous verses of whoredom. And so this leads me to the question, who/what is the image of jealousy in the entrance? I don't know if anybody here has read this whole chapter. Does anybody know who or what the image of jealousy is in the entrance?
I could take a guess, but I'll let somebody else answer that if they're able to.
Yeah, I can't see the chat or anything, so.
I can't say that I read it, but I don't know. A thought that comes to my mind would be, is it Satan? Because he's jealous of Yah and wants to be like him? Or am I not thinking the correct path here?
No, I think that's a great thought about it. Like
I don't know.
We know that Hasatan was jealous of Yah's throne.
Right.
And wanted to be like him, and wanted to set himself up in Yah's set apart place and rule over.
Anyone else have a thought? I don't know. I have to read it.
Yeah, Jeremy, check the chat, see if anyone's writing anything in there.
I'm checking. Sumi asked what the question was, but I just repeated it for her.
Okay. All right, Jeremy, what do you think the image of jealousy is in the entrance?
Well, my guess is an Asherah pole or Tammuz, an image or statue, something like that of Tammuz.
Jeremy, can you pull up this chapter and read verse 14?
Ezekiel 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
I was thinking about sun worship myself, and that obviously ties into the satanic rituals that the world has adopted and everything else. I think it's the world adopting something that's contrary to Yah, and using perhaps the sun worship as a transference of his esteem into man-made religions.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
Okay.
we see that too, like with the Pope, and he carries that Sol Invictus thing too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like when we discussed this, that it was the image that Yahuah was seeing of us worshiping other deities and idolatry. Well, there it is. Look at that.
Yeah. Jeremy, you have verse 14?
Yeah, you want me to
Read it.
So it says, "Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of Yahuah, and I saw women sitting there, weeping for Tammuz."
Winner,
Wow.
winner, chicken dinner. Jeremy is.
So
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say I had some foresight on that information, so that's why I was being quiet. But let me stop sharing my screen.
Okay. Can you share then with us, Jeremy? Like, because I can't say that I know a lot about Tammuz. So how is that? I guess, why is he the one?
So Tammuz it's been around since Nimrod. So there's Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis or whatever. That's that original Babylonian doctrine that crept through, and it's still here, and it's been here since then. So this is where we get that, Holy Trinity type thing, and the cross of the Christians, that's actually a cross of Tammuz. Like Tammuz has been the object of jealousy, especially in this context, since Nimrod. And when you trace all religion, all these societies, things like that, they all trace right back to Nimrod, to the beginning. There's nothing new under the sun.
And what's interesting is with each one of these mother son worship, it also points back to all religions, all the religions, and each one of those so-called sons were born on December 25th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Tammuz's birthday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammuz is deeply ingrained into Catholicism. You have 40 days of Lent. That was the 40 days of fasting that Tammuz's mother said that everyone should do. They should fast for 40 days, but only eat cakes with a tea on. That's where you get your hot cross buns on for Easter.
Exactly.
It's very ingrained within man-made traditions.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
which is
wasn't he
why they.
killed
Oh,
by a
sorry.
boar? I was going to say he was
Yes,
killed by a boar, so that's why they eat ham, Easter ham.
and Christmas ham. Yep.
And didn't he hunt for rabbits, and that's where you get the rabbits for Easter and stuff like that?
I think that was the goddess Ishtar, right? The
Yeah,
fertility.
Ishtar. Wasn't
Yeah.
Ishtar his mother?
Oh.
Or Astarte, or I don't know how to say it.
Ishtar being the queen of heaven at the time. And Easter goes back, if you have a look at some of the worship of Ishtar, after the 40 days of eating Tammuz cakes, there would be a celebration where the priests would take the fair maidens of the villages and have their way with them. The girls that were pregnant from the year before, their children would then be considered a sacrifice to the gods. So they would kill these children or young babies, 3 months old, and then they would dip eggs into the blood of these babies and then hand the eggs out to the surrounding populations as a fertility symbol, and that's where you get the Easter egg from, the Ishtar egg.
Yeah, wow. So like, with that being said, now we understand, like, later on in this chapter, they're talking about the women weeping over Tammuz. So can we understand why this is called the image of jealousy now? You know, that this has provoked Yahuah's righteous jealousy. Similar to how a spouse is betrayed by unfaithfulness, you know, and we are his bride, right? And so it says that the image of jealousy was set in this place toward the north. And so when we think about like the relevance of that, like with the north of it being the oracle or the sanctuary, it's also representative of the heart. So in the hearts of people. And so this is an idol. The idols of our hearts, if you think about it. And so that is what incites jealousy. It's an insult to Yah's covenant relationship with Yasharel. And so that's the significance of it being set up northward or in the north. And it's in place of Yah. And we just read that north is where Yah's throne is, his set apart place, where the soles of his feet are. So this weeping for Tammuz and other gods is like a idol being set up over Yah himself. So he's incredibly jealous over that.
I have a question, if it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're still had more, I know you have more to go, but just
No,
want
you're
to
fine.
really quick while I have this thought. So we know the north, the New Jerusalem will be in the north, in the heavens, if I'm correct in saying that.
Yeah, it comes down from the heavens onto Mount Zion.
On Mount Zion, but that's not the Mount Zion in Israel.
No.
Okay. So, because I was thinking about, like, from Christianity, we all, we believe, like, yes, he's going to come, like, kingdom's going to come descending down, but where is the question, or where is where they
Yeah.
have it wrong? Okay, I just want to make sure my brain is on the right track. Thank you. Yes, this is very clarifying today, Marissa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then like that Jubilees 8:19 says, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. So that's definitely not the Middle East over there.
Do you have a thought of where the center of the earth is? The navel? If
The
you
North Pole.
The North Pole. Oh, the North Pole.
Yeah. That's the center of the firmament. It's the center of the earth.
And when you look up in the heavens, if you go by Polaris, the North Star, the true North Star that doesn't move, it would be located right below that.
Okay.
Marissa.
Yes.
Do you want me to send in the chat a picture of the Mercator map that I have?
Yeah, and also I think a couple slides after this I'll have that too, but
never mind then.
Well, like do that when I get to that slide though. That'll be good. And then I'll just read this one scripture for you again, Lisa.
Thank you.
It's Revelation 21:10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the set apart Yerushalayim, New Jerusalem, descending out of the heaven from Elohim, having the esteem of Elohim. And so, like, descending out of the heaven, and we know where Yah's throne room is, where his abode of glory is, and that's in that is the Vav, in the center.
Awesome. Thank you. And I
Yeah,
think that it also made it clearer when you were saying that the true north, Polaris,
yeah,
you expect to, like, I expected to see it directly above me in northeastern Pennsylvania, but it's where you are on the earth,
yeah,
where it looks slanted or not. And I guess that's what was throwing me off,
yeah.
to the north. Am I looking straight up to the north, or am I looking like north,
Right.
south, east, west on the disc? Which, if I'm looking at, I guess you're going to share the map, but just quickly,
Like, we're like off to the side, Lisa, compared to where Polaris is in the center of the firmament.
the side of the east, on the east, or
Doesn't
the,
matter. Like, we are
it
not
doesn't matter,
directly
right?
located in the north or right under Polaris, so we're like off to the side. And so that's why Polaris will look at an angle like that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I just thought of this, but like if, say, you were in a room and there was a light in the middle of the ceiling, and that's Polaris, but you're standing at the doorway, like you're off to the side, and so north will look at that angle because of that. So
Thank you. I know you've probably said this multiple times, but it's
no, it's
just
fine.
clicking.
No,
Sorry.
it doesn't
Thank
bother
you.
me. I love it. It's good.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I read that Jubilees 8:19, but so it says, I'm just going to read it again. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of Yahuah. And so, like, we just, like, everything that we just built on, like, the dwelling of Yah is in the midst, is the oracle, so the Holy of Holies in the temple. And the Garden of Eden is also, there's, I don't know if I had that scripture in here on the Garden of Righteousness coming down. Oh yeah, I do. So is New Jerusalem. And so that is one concept of north, and so we were just going over that with the true north. And Mount Sinai, the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other. There are three parts to the north, and so there's three parts because we live in a three-dimensional world, so it depends on the plane, the directional plane that you're considering. So where is north? Where we have true north is that vertical. We have cardinal north is that northern quarter, and then we have magnetic north, where that is the center of the earth. And so here's the scripture for the three parts. Enoch 77, and the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into three parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men. The second contains seas of water, and the abysses, and forests, and rivers, and darkness, and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness. So the garden of righteousness is that true north, is the abode of glory, is the throne room. The seas, abysses, forests, rivers, darkness, and clouds, this is that magnetic north, where everything meets in the center. And so that Mercator map would be great, Miranda, if you could throw that in there now. And then the dwelling of men being Mount Sinai. I said,
Natalie.
and so the verse
Oh, sorry.
continues. Go ahead.
No, Natalie beat her to that. So
Sweet. Thank you, Natalie. Um, so the verse continues. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and thence comes forth hoarfrost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. That's so interesting. Miranda found this scripture, and I love it. The north is where days, seasons, and years pass away. So it's marking it as the ending point of time cycles. And so if there's anyone here who watched that full presentation on the calendar, now we can see when the sun traverses northward in its analemma, in its cycle in the north, and it's officially above the horizon, that is the day of the straight line shadow. It is the end, and yet it is also the beginning. It is 365/0. So, all right, so together with Enoch 72:5, these passages show the north as the pivot of creation cycles, where time both begins and ends. The sun traverses north in order to return to the east to the beginning of its circuit. And here in Enoch 77, cycles also conclude, emphasizing the ordered, intentional nature of creation. The synestemi, the glue. And so I was just kind of explaining this a few minutes ago on the concepts of north and the different directions. So I have a diagram here where we can see that green arrow going up, showing that vertical north, upward, northward. And then like those scriptures in Ezekiel where it says, and lift your eyes northward. So that's the true north. And then we also have transverse north, or cardinal north, is the northern quarter of the world. And the last one is magnetic north, being at the center of the earth. And this is the place where all compasses point to. So we have to consider here again that toroidal field, and how does that work, right? And so like that reminds me of that video Jeremy shared with the Mercury, and they set the magnet to it, and it spun the Mercury in a vortex like that. So there's the north and the south poles of the toroidal field that is the conductor for the energy that's in the world and sustains and suspends the luminaries that are made of plasma and rotates them around. And so north is the very center of the earth. I gotta change that word planet there. Plane. All right. So let's talk about that magnetic north then. So how is it magnetic? Because we know, in the globe model, they're like, the earth has a magnetic core. And I don't subscribe to that anymore. And so what is so magnetic then about the center of the earth? I have this verse from Joshua, and Joshua said to the people, set yourselves apart, for tomorrow Yahuah is doing wonders in your midst. And so I have the picture of the Mercator map here. The Rupus nigra is Latin for black rock, It's described in early maps and legends as a massive magnetic rock located at the North Pole. Medieval and Renaissance cartographers believed it to be a central feature of the Arctic, sometimes said to be surrounded by a whirlpool or encircled by several large islands. Its magnetic properties were thought to influence the compass, explaining the orientation of navigational instruments. So that's really interesting with the whirlpool too, when we think of, the Mercury and putting the magnets and it's spinning up in the vortex, and then it says encircled by several large islands, that the scriptures say there are 7 high mountains in the mist, and Mount Zion's in the north. And I'm sure some of you have heard that term Black Rock too. They just, the powers that be just like make a mockery of Yah.
Yeah, exactly. I literally just said that in chat too.
Yeah, it's true.
And speaking of whirlpools, guys, I'm not sure if you know, but a lot of the ocean, actually all of the ocean currents, go and renew there and recycle there as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like with the whirlpools too, because in the north, isn't there is that what they call it in the ocean? Like there will be like a whirlpool in the ocean. I don't know why I'm thinking of like Pirates of the Caribbean, like
At
where the
World's
ship,
End.
yeah,
Yeah.
where the ship is going through the whirlpool into the vortex, going down.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because they call it Davy Jones' locker, which I guess would be what, like considered like Sheol, maybe?
Yeah.
Which
No,
is
it is.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's funny.
Yeah, and it's literally a whirlpool that they get sent under, and so I think that has a lot of significance to do with the North as well.
Yeah. Oh, the truth hidden in plain sight,
Yeah, and the most roughest seas are there in the North. There's been videos of like, I mean, it's scary. Very high walls of waves there. Very dangerous.
Yeah. And then there, I think it's in one of these chapters I'm about to read, where it talks about like the ravines of these mountains being Sheol, I think, where the voices cry out. I'll just read it and we'll see if I'm recalling that right. Enoch 24. And from thence I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire, which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other. And the stones thereof were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. 3 towards the east, one founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, one upon the other, and deep and rough ravines, no one of which joined with any other. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne. I find that interesting that the 7th mountain is in the midst, and that the 4th branch on the menorah is in the mist. I don't know. And fragrant trees encircle. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I was just saying, wow, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and fragrant trees encircled the throne, and among them was a tree such as I had never yet smelt, neither was any amongst them, nor were other like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood wither not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and it blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels who was with me, and was their leader. So what is this tree? What do you guys think?
Isn't
Tree of
it the
knowledge of
tree
good
of
and evil.
knowledge of good and evil? Yeah, yeah.
I wish we had like a buzzer for you guys.
Beep. Family Feud. Everybody get your buzzer ready.
Yeah. Okay. And I love it because this kind of goes into chapter 25 too. So, well, oh, look at it. And at the top it says, and the tree of life. Okay.
But isn't
All
the
right. So
tree
then
of life,
chapter 10.
isn't the fruit described as grapes, if I remember correctly?
Jeremy, do you remember? It said dates of a palm.
Yeah, I remember those do kind of look like grapes, I guess. 'Cause dates, grapes,
No, I think
I don't know.
I think two trees are described in Enoch. One is the tree of good and knowledge, which Adam and Eve ate from, and they would be the dates. And then there's another tree described that has fruit like grapes, which is the tree of life, which we will all eat from, and the leaves are for healing, and the fragrance of that tree is for life, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. No, I think, yeah, both of them are described. So I think just these are the tree of life in these chapters. But maybe like in chapter 26, it might go into the tree of knowledge of good and evil too.
Oh yeah, because Enoch
Okay.
does. Oh, sorry, Marissa, go ahead.
Maybe
No,
I've
you're
got them
fine.
round the wrong way. But there's certainly one tree. Yeah, that's it. There's two trees described, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Sorry for butting in.
You're fine. What were you going to say, Miranda?
Oh, just that, yeah, I think Enoch does ask the angel who was with him what tree this is, and the angel does explain that this was the tree that Eve took part in. So
Yeah.
He does make the distinction between the two.
Yeah, and right. And so like the Garden of Eden is it's not there anymore. It's not here on earth anymore. It's lifted up. And so okay. All right, so Enoch 25. And he said unto me, Enoch, why dost thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree? And why dost thou wish to learn the truth? Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of Yahuah, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Elohim of glory, eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant trees encircled, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all, and bring everything to its consummation forever. It shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of Elohim, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter. And its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as their fathers lived. And in their days shall no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then I blessed the Yahuah of glory, the eternal King, who hath prepared such things for the righteous, and hath created them and promised to give to them. So that, I think those underlines are really great, describing again Mount Zion. And then I have the Testament of Levi here, part of it. For he will give the majesty of the Lord to his children in truth forever, and none will succeed him for all generations ever. And in his priesthood the Gentiles will be multiplied in knowledge on the earth, and enlightened by the grace of Yah. In his priesthood sin will come to an end, and the lawless will cease to do evil, and the just will rest in him. And he will open the gates of paradise, and will remove the threatening sword against Adam. And he will give to the saints to eat from the tree of life, and the spirit of holiness will be upon them. And Beliar will be bound by him, and he will give power to his children to trample upon the evil spirits. And Yah will rejoice in his children, and be well pleased in his beloved ones forever. Then Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be joyful, and I will be glad, and all the saints will clothe themselves with joy. So this is really painting the picture here of Yah's set-apart place in the north. It's in the heavens, it's also on earth. It is Mount Zion. It is also the Garden of Righteousness, which comes down. It is the land promised to his people, and where the tree of life is, and also the camp of the saints.
Exactly.
Ezekiel 31:18. We're back in the canon, guys. Which of the trees of Eden can be compared with you in splendor and majesty? Yet you too will be brought down with the trees of Eden to the earth below. You will lie among the uncircumcised with those killed by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his hordes, declares Yahuah Adonai. So that's interesting too, about lying among the uncircumcised with those killed by the sword. And probably why I was thinking about those ravines in the mountains, at the base of the mountains, and Sheol, and hearing their cries. So it wasn't in those chapters that I was reading, but I know I read that in Enoch. So it might have been in some chapters like 26, 27. So that's definitely something to look into. So in Jubilees, it describes this account of Enoch where he's taken above the earth. And he, Enoch, was taken from amongst the children of men, and we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And behold, there he writes down the condemnation and judgment of the world, and all the wickedness of the children of men. And on account of it, Yahuah brought the waters of the flood upon all the land of Eden. For there he was set as a sign, and that he should testify against all the children of men, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of judgment. And he burnt the incense of the sanctuary, even sweet spices, acceptable before the Lord on the mount. The Lord on the mount. Like, why would he be called that? The Lord on the mount. It's interesting too. So, if there is this large mountain that reaches into the heavens, why can't we see it? So Colossians 1:16 says, "For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him." And so he creates the things that are visible and invisible. And then in 2nd Esdras we read, "And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth fails when it feels the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not." That's interesting. He could not see. He could not see that. Later on in chapter 13, we read, "And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as you saw them willing to come, and to overcome him by fighting. And he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come, and shall be shown to all men, being prepared and built, like as you saw the hill graven without hands." And so this is all the same chapter of 2nd Esdras, where we see that he could not see it, and then he could. So I don't know how it's hidden, but it is.
Yeah, we can definitely see it's been hidden, and it's for a reason. And I believe it's because of that season of deception. But that's just my thoughts, Sorry.
No, you could be right. It's hidden somehow. And so we have in Enoch chapter 1, says, "Concerning the elect I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling." So where's his dwelling? "And the eternal Elohim will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens." So, and appear from his camp. Where's his camp? We just read that. Where his camp of the saints is the garden of righteousness, where the tree of life is, and where Mount Zion is.
Yeah.
So,
The camp of the saints in the north. That's
mm-hmm.
exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, whether it's here and is hidden, or it's still to come and will be there, either way, the north is significant. But to finish that, about the camp, 2nd Ezra 7, "For behold, the time will come when the signs which I have foretold to you will come to pass, that the city which now is not seen shall appear, and the land which now is hidden shall be disclosed." So we can see that Scripture tells us that New Jerusalem at one point is not seen, and it shall appear. And we see that like echoed through multiple scriptures here that I've read. That is what is for certain, that there is a point in time where it is not seen, and there is a point in time of when it appears. So whatever your opinion is of which point in time we're at, whether we're a pre-millennial reign, post-millennial reign, whichever, the fact of the matter and what scripture is telling us is that there is a point where the city's not seen, and there is a point when it will appear. And we know where the city is. It is brought down on the top of the mount, on Mount Sinai, on Mount Zion, in the center of the earth.
On the circle of the earth, isn't? Can you turn that down? Can you turn it down? Can you turn that down, TV? On the circle of the earth, isn't it set up in 4 different quadrants? And the Middle East, where Middle Eastern state of Israel is today, isn't that in the east? And that's where the first sunrise occurs. And then in the north, it would be the quadrant of where the United States is located. So I'm just wondering if the United States is not the end time camp that you're referring to here. Just a thought.
Yeah, no. So in my research that I've done, in my studies, we're seeing, so there's a video, it's by a sister, and her channel name is Leaving Babylon. And there's a video called The Camp of the Saints. So in between Russia and the U.S., there's about 3 hours of missing time there that they don't tell us about. And so if you think about it, 3 hours is a lot of land. And so this 3 hour time zone difference, they're trying to hide something that's there. And we even see in the scriptures Sister Marissa just read, that camp of the saints, or New Jerusalem, is going to be hidden during this time. Nobody's going to be allowed to go to it or see it or anything. It's because it is that time of deception. And I believe not only America, but all the other nations across the earth right now, they are all this mystery Babylon. Because everybody, pretty much every single country, we live in Babylonian cities. We're governed by Roman laws. And there's Egyptian obelisks and pyramids and you name it, all over the place. So I believe the camp of the saints, or New Jerusalem, is hidden invisibly right now. And like the North Sea, how it has these huge waves and it's basically untraversable. And I believe it's like that to keep the people from going to where the city is. Until that, time of the Gog-Magog war, when everybody surround the city, but then they're all destroyed. So, this just connects it all. Oh, go ahead, sister. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Real quick, I was just gonna say this just really connects it all together in a very deep way. At least for me, it does. Go ahead, sister.
Why do you think on Google Maps in certain areas, it's literally wiped out? White. You can't see what's there. And it's definitely in that area where they white it out. They don't want you to know that there's a humongous landmass in that area.
Yeah, there's a lot of old maps, that you can check out too, where it shows like a, I don't want to call it a continent, but yeah, like a continent there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we saying that the camp of the saints is the New Jerusalem, because in my understanding, and I've been following Leaving Babylon and obviously reading scripture around this. My understanding is the camp of the saints is different to the New Jerusalem.
No, I think it's one and the same.
Yeah, I believe they're one and the same. But, you know, if you have some scriptures or something, you know, I'll definitely study that out more. But yeah, I've always been under the impression, from what I see, is the camp of the saints is New Jerusalem, because that's where the saints are.
Yes, agreed.
So, what comes down then from heaven? I mean, if all the world is going to see something come down from heaven, the New Jerusalem to settle on the high mountain, that hasn't been seen, or are we saying this was seen at Jesus' return, or Yeshua's return, or Yahushua's return?
Yeah.
70
Yeah,
AD?
it comes down onto the top of Mount Zion.
Yeah, and then that's where the millennial reign started.
So we're saying Mount Zion is the camp of the saints?
Right.
Yeah, correct.
So the New Jerusalem hasn't returned to the camp of the saints yet, is that right?
No, it has. So it came down before the millennial reign. That's what started it off. And so now it's still there. It's just hidden from us.
Oh, I see. I get you. Okay.
Yeah. So it already had come down from the clouds. And basically the next thing to happen is, you know, Judgment Day is going to happen. But that's going to be after they surround the city and try to go to war with it. And in my opinion, I think that's why they're pushing this. Yeah. And I think that's why they're pushing this alien agenda so hard, so much. And
exactly.
Yeah. And so they're trying to make it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So what we've heard tonight is that the tree of life will be transplanted and put into the New Jerusalem. Are we saying that that's already happened? And if that's the case, then the tree of life is on earth, and we should all be sort of benefiting from its existence here on earth.
Yeah, those who believe and who follow Yahuah and his word. And I think that's why we do have so many blessings and things right now as well. Even though we go through trials and tribulations, you know, there's still these blessings out of it. And I think it's because, you know, so before there was the prophets, and, you know, when they were coming out of Egypt even, they saw the pillar of fire and the cloud. They heard Yahuah's voice himself speaking on the mountain. And, you know, today in these times, you know, we don't have prophets, you know, we don't see these pillars of fires and clouds leading us, but we still have that faith and we believe. And there's a verse somewhere it says, you know, something about, you know, those who haven't seen are going to have a stronger belief than those who do see. And don't quote me for it, but it's something along those lines.
I know what verse you're talking about, but like the whole thing I'm not recalling either.
Yeah.
So why isn't the camp of the saints called the New Jerusalem? Or is there somewhere in Scripture that it is called the New Jerusalem? Or
I'll go and search that out more, and I'll definitely share it in the chat as well. Not right now, of course, but
I think it's the same, but there's two different names, you know.
Yeah.
So when Yeshua came with the New Jerusalem, then surely there's the great white throne judgment when that happens. I just see that the camp of the saints is different to the New Jerusalem coming down, because when it comes down, isn't this the great sign? Everyone looks in the sky and sees the New Jerusalem coming down, and that's when everyone thinks, crikey, let's exterminate this thing that's coming down, it's aliens.
Exactly.
Yes, but the city is a floating city as well.
Yes.
We have to
Like an
remember that.
avatar.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
another idea is like, because it says in this verse in front of us that the city which now is not seen shall appear. So at one point it's going to appear. So is that moment when it appears?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when Hasatan rallies up all of those that have not followed Yahuah to encamp or try to take over the city. But then that's when the fires of judgment come down.
Exactly. And then that is the great white throne judgment. The great white throne judgment doesn't happen during the millennial reign. That's actually Judgment Day itself.
Yeah, that's after. Yeah.
So we can talk more about that. I have one slide left just to kind
Yeah.
of like and the presentation. Like I knew that these last couple slides, like why is this land hidden, was going to kind of like segue us, but I couldn't not add this in here because it is relevant to the north. And is relevant to like the structure of the earth and is relevant to his nature, is relevant to scriptures. You know, all of this like connects, and I couldn't skip that part because of Yah being in the midst of all things. So in the end, everything Yahuah establishes reflects his nature, his order, his rhythm, his unity. You know, him, you know, by him all things consist, him as the glue, him as the Vav, holding the end and the beginning together, and how he provides that balance in all of nature, in all of his creation. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, but if the calendar that we follow is meant to align us with him, then it should bear the same signature of his character. The calendar should echo Yah's nature. And if it doesn't, then it's false and it's a construct of man, if you will. So his patterns and his design is woven into creation itself. So ask yourself with honesty and courage, does the calendar that you keep today reflect the nature of Yah or the imprint of man? Because in every situation, in every doctrine, in every choice, every path that we walk, this is the standard. It's the bar, it's the compass, it's the measuring stick. Does it align with his nature? And if not, why follow it? Why would you go back to a Saturday Sabbath after understanding how his nature echoes through all of his creation, including his timepiece in the sky? If it does not align with his nature, why follow it? May we have the humility to realign ourselves and the discernment to see and the boldness to return to the rhythm that Yahuah set from the beginning. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, the imprint of man comes from Rome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much, Marissa. That was a really, really good presentation on the calendar. I really enjoyed the connections that you made with the calendar and our heart, and how everything is in sync, how he's in the midst of everything, and how he keeps everything together. I think it's a fantastic presentation you gave. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Very well done.
That's Yah's heart right there. That's his heart.
Yeah, it's a matter of the heart. Yeah, really amazing information, very eye-opening. And, we could see how deep these connections go just with everything,
Yeah. Yeah, it's super deep. Um, it's not just like surface level. I think, when it comes to that back and forth in the Torah community about the calendar, it seems like, well, gee, what are the weightier matters? And I agree, what are the weightier matters? And we're supposed to walk as Yahusha walked, right? But Yahusha is Yah's word made flesh. Yahusha is the heart of Yah. And so if we're supposed to walk as he walked, if we're supposed to echo Yah's nature, um, then this does matter in a deeper way, a more significant way.
Absolutely, and the rhythm of the Sabbaths is so important to look into and to be part of. An appointed time is a fixed time. It's not a choice. It's a fixed time. It doesn't change. And to find the correct Sabbath and to work it, to count your days for the years and to keep your festivals in line with what the angels are doing and what Yah's doing and Yeshua's doing is absolutely vital, I think, for the way that we should carry on with the rhythm of life that we're living.
Yeah, it really is. Exactly. Yeah, and just all the connections and showing the importance of the North as well. And it all connected on a very deep level for me, and I was just like, wow, and the toroidal vortex, showing that importance of right there in the center, in the north, right through the middle. That's where Mount Zion is. That's where the New Jerusalem is. And it all makes so
Praise
much
Yah.
sense.
Once you
Yeah,
see it, you can't unsee it.
I definitely agree. And it's really amazing how the calendar really connects all these things. And if you don't have a good understanding of what the calendar is, you're not going to see these connections.
Or true biblical cosmology.
Yeah, that as well. Exactly. So yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything else they would like to
Oh,
say?
and I was thinking too, about those cupolas, cupolas. That's how he said it, cupolas. Um, how they're like in the midst of those structures too, like the dome structures.
Yeah, and it goes in line with
The
what is it?
dome or our firmament.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not only that, but the calendar and the roller coaster analogy there.
Oh, yes.
Where you get on and off it, it's covered up, unseen basically. But then you run the track and it comes all the way back around. Boom.
Right.
That was a really well done presentation, Marissa. Thank you. You too, Jeremy.
Yeah, all praise to the Most High. And I definitely agree. It very well done. And I think it's very important information as well. Not a lot of people realize the importance of the North, the importance of the calendar, the importance of the sons of Zadok even.
And I will just say this, like I know I kind of like said it a little bit earlier, but as far as like, are we pre or post millennial reign, like that, deciding that is not like required to understand the significance of the North, or for like understanding the depth of Yah being in the midst of all creation. Like you could believe, well, New Jerusalem hasn't come down yet, and still have that awestruck moment and that admiration for Yah's handiwork, and seeing how he is interwoven in all of his creation, his nature.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I've said before, whether we are pre or post millennial reign, we still have the same goals. The same things still apply. The importance of the North is still there. And we all have a shot at making that new kingdom when heaven and earth is renewed. So, it's not an issue to be pushed or, hate others if they believe or don't believe in. It's just we still have that same goal, and, this connects it for me, but, it also connects the importance of the calendar as well. And, the location the sun is going through to begin our years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that I had
You know,
that further on in the presentation too, and so I'd really like to break that 2-hour one down into a few parts here so that we can like expound on these topics more in depth and discuss them with each other. And then I know that whole like how the sun traverses to the north, that's like further in the presentation, and we'll go over that another Sabbath too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's always something to study out. And yeah, it takes us all coming together to study these things out. And, that's why it's so important we do come together, and we come together in love and kindness and compassion. And then where two or more are gathered, that's where the Ruach's going to be. And, we could tell that the Ruach is definitely here in our fellowship. And, I'm so grateful for it, honestly. Yeah, breaking things down even deeper. I love that too.
the timeline thing has been something that's been argued back and forth for the last 2,000 years. I think that it's more of a distraction from the most important things, such as the calendar. And
Yeah, I would
so
agree.
anyway, that's my thoughts on it, because I can't wrap my head around the uh, little season thing that everybody's talking about now. I haven't studied it out completely like some of you have, so maybe that's the reason I don't understand it. But still, in all, I think that there has been a major distraction throughout history. People argue about these various things that don't really, really, uh, let's call it, they're not really salvation issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as Marissa was saying, I believe that's what she was trying to say anyway. Is that right, Marissa? Hello?
You there, Marissa?
Well, anyway, I think that's what she was saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what she was saying.
But
I
there's
can't
a
speak.
lot to be said about the millennial reign too, and the timing of it. And there's a lot of things that I believe that maybe all don't. But there's a lot of things in prophecy, it seems, that point to the millennial reign that just haven't happened yet.
Yeah, I was one of those who thought that as well. And, but really what did it for me was looking at what Messiah was saying to the people around him. It, there's many, many, many instances where he says, some standing here will not taste death before they see me or see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. You know, he tells the high priest, you yourself are going to see the Son of Man coming in the clouds before you die. You know, John, and when he wrote Revelation.
Yeah, that's always been a question I've had in my mind as well, you know, which, you know, points to a little bit a partial preterist viewpoint.
Yeah,
whereas these things did happen before the temple was destroyed, or just after.
Yeah, so what we believe in is what Scripture says, and we're not preterists, partial preterists. We don't believe Scriptures is all allegory. We don't believe all of Scriptures have been fulfilled. We believe that, well, some of us believe, I shouldn't say, but a lot of us here, and it's okay if you don't agree, but a lot of us here believe we are after the millennial reign, in the little season, but before Judgment Day. So we're still waiting for the day of judgment to happen, where everybody is gathered and judged at once. And, you know, depending on your deeds, you know, your works, aka if you are following Torah, you know, you're going to be tossed in the lake of fire, or you're going to make it into the new kingdom.
There's another thing I wonder about too. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, I just threw in that part of Torah is to observe my Sabbaths and keep them holy.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, keeping the Sabbaths, the festivals. You know, keeping his word, not straying from his word. I mean, it goes pretty deep, and, you know, I already had a feeling it was going to get into this topic, and so did Marissa, but, you know, it's unavoidable, honestly, because of just these deep connections, especially to the north. And then everything you study about it, you know, the camp of the saints that's in the north, things like that. It connects on a deep level, for sure. Cheyenne.
Jeremy, where are you on the calendar issue right now, as far as the like it was the day that's missing, or the 0 day would be before day 1. Is that still the way you believe?
No, that's what all this information, what Marissa presented, that's what has changed my mind the last couple months.
Okay, so you believe that the day 4 is the 0 day?
No, it's not day 4. It's just a 0 day and then day 4. So everything still starts on day 4, and that's after the straight line shadow day, because you have to have that marker, like the road sign, to know when to get off before you get off.
In other words, the things that we were talking about in Job are not coming into the play, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think Marissa she's not actively listening at the moment. That's why she's unable to answer. But
well, just give me your understanding of it.
So when the equinox, the straight line shadow day, that's going to mark the divider day, or day out of time.
Okay.
Because
But
time
it's
is
still day
cyclical.
4. But it
Yeah.
remains to be day 4.
Yeah, correct. So the first day of the first month of the year is always on day 4.
Okay. It's not on the day after.
Wait, what do you mean? So,
Well, I've been understanding that there's with like is Ezekiel's key keeping it that way as well?
no, they
Same
do
way.
they do the method how we were doing it just before. Really, that's what the whole presentation here was about. It was about showing where the divider day is at, the day out of time. And because time runs in this cyclical spiral, that it's that alpha and omega, or the aleph and the tav, and then you have that vav right in the middle, and that's actually the Hebrew word for oath. It's what is it? Aleph,
Sign.
vav,
Yeah.
yeah, and that
Alpha
vav is
alpha
the sign.
alpha Wata.
Yeah, and that vav right in the middle
Is a
it's
sign.
exactly, it's what holds everything together. It's that. And it even looks like a little straight line too. But that's Yahuah in the midst of everything. He's in the midst of each year that comes around. So like the Fibonacci sequence, for example, how it has a spiral and it just starts right at the middle with these little individual spirals. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and these little individual spirals all create one giant one. And that's basically the way Yahuah has meant for time to work. So yes, he was preeminent of everything, but as time went on, especially on day 4, that's when the luminaries were created to keep track of this time.
Okay, so the equinox day on day 4 is still day 1 of the year, month, and the 4th day of the week, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
No,
So,
simply
No,
put, you
no,
see
no.
the equinox, and that's day 0. The day after the equinox is day 1 of the first month, which is the first day of the year, but that's day 4 of the week.
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, because we have the days of the weeks and then we have the dates that go with the days of the week.
I'm not sure who just said that, but could you say that again, but maybe slower?
Me?
Was it you, Miranda?
Yeah, it was. So,
Yes. Say it
my
again.
so my brother James kind of helped me understand this. So we have the days of the week, right, that are in order 1 through 7, but with those number days, we then have our numbered dates, right? So like Sabbath for our 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th months, the dates of Sabbath are always going to be on the 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th. So we have our dates, and then we have our numbered days, if that makes sense, of the week.
Yeah, it does. But when you were saying before that, the first of the year, what were you saying? The first day is day 4. Well, I think we were saying something like that. The
Oh, that
first
might have been
day.
Natalie. I think
Oh,
that
was
was
that
Natalie.
Natalie?
That was Natalie, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was just thinking if Natalie, because I think it was Dwayne was asking, correct? I mean, how she described it makes sense, but sometimes just slower for us who are like trying to get our brains around it.
Okay, so before everyone was keeping it by the divider day and resetting creation week and thinking that the first day is set by the equinox. So simply put, it's just a day off. So you'll cite the equinox for your area, which lines up with all of this north presentation. So you see the equinox, that's day 365 or day 0. Then the next day is the first day of the year, the first day of the first month, which is also the 4th day of the week.
Which starts the circuit or the curve of time after the straight line.
Right, just like Psalm 19 says.
Exactly.
First day of the first day of the first week,
The
but it's
first
day
day of the first
first
month
month, but day
is
4.
always day 4 of the week,
Oh,
and that's always the day after the equinox.
got it.
Yes, and that's where you start the curve of time or the beginning of the circuit for the year.
First day of the first month, the day 4. Got it. Got it. Thank you.
The way that I got my head around this was if you have a look at the Zadok calendar that we were following, there's always an event followed by a celebration. So at the end of each season, there's a 31st day, which is the event, and the next day would be the first day of the season, which is the celebration. And then you look at things like unleavened bread, you have Passover, the event, and then you have the celebration the next day of unleavened bread. And then you've got the counting of the Omer, which is count 7 Sabbaths, which we do. And then the next day, that we're counting 7 Sabbaths would be the event. Then the next day would be the celebration, i.e. first fruits. So there's nothing untoward to have an event, as in the straight line shadow, followed by the celebration being the first day of the year. It just that's the way that for me that I could see it in my mind, is there's always an event followed by a celebration. The event for the yearly event would be the straight line shadow, and then the celebration would be the New Year celebration on the 4th day, which would be the 4th day of the week, or day 365. And then we've got things like Jubilees, where we count 7 sevens of years, 49 years, and then the celebration, the 50th year would then be the Jubilee year. So there's always an event followed by a celebration. And if we have a look at, if we think about the day 0 or day 365 being the event, then the celebration is starting your count again for the new year.
Yeah, perfect. That's a good explanation there, Brother Sam. Thank you.
Well, the way I understand Ezekiel Key, they keep the first day of the month, first day of the year, the day after the equinox. And they say that that's the 364th day of the year. And they got a null day that happens before that time.
Yeah,
But doesn't the 364th day have to be a Sabbath day?
No.
No.
No?
No.
No. So, yeah, Ezekiel's Key is doing it how we used to do it. Well, I shouldn't say the same way, but similar. But they do start, what is it? They start the head of the year after.
That's correct.
But they say, they say the equinox is day 364. We are saying that divider day goes right there on the equinox. So you have days 1, 2, 3, and then the equinox is going to mark that divider day. And then after that is 4, 5, 6, and 7.
What do you mean by divider day? I don't understand that term.
The day out of time. Day 0. Day out of time.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Ray, I had the pleasure of talking to oh gosh, I can't remember her name now, from Ezekiel's Key. She was great. The only thing that I just didn't agree with her on was they put the restart of creation week before the year is truly ended, and you can't restart the new year before the old year has ended completely. And so that's why, everything kind of started changing with our, with how we understood things, because you can't have something begin until another thing has ended. And that's why Yah is the ending and beginning. He's the one that holds, and separates the year.
Well, in my understanding of Ezekiel Key is that, the equinox day is the 31st day of the month, and it's the last day of the year, and that's the equinox day, and the next day is the first day of the year. So is that the way you understand it?
So I agreed with them a little bit. I told them that we were kind of like, when you go to high five somebody and you accidentally miss. I kind of like feel like that's how my understanding with them is because we both agree on like where to start the count of the year, but don't agree where to end the last day of the year. So, yeah, so they think that the equinox is equal day, equal night, and it's not. Because that is the 364th day. So they're not necessarily wrong. They're just wrong in where they're putting it. And they do go off of like the Gleason map. And the only thing I have to say about the Gleason map is it kind of gets put in that timeline that kind of gets a little stretched out because it doesn't line up with Enoch per se. And so they don't really agree with like the North, like we have dug into, which is totally fine. They just have a different, understanding right now. And so that's kind of, yeah. Because the North plays a vital part in understanding where things go to renew and also end. And they kind of gloss over that just a little bit, which is fine. But so that's the best explanation I feel like I can give on that.
So
yeah,
the sorry, what
go
Ezekiel's
ahead,
keep the divider day after the 52nd Shabbat, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, because we can't break up his calendar of creation or week of creation that is to commemorate his week of creation. But my point to them was, what's our Sabbath for then? Because we are aligning our entire lives around what he's given us as the commemorative, as honoring his creation week, is that Sabbath. So it's the kind of, and I love them ladies, I really do, but I think that, yeah, you can't end something, or you can't begin something before you end. It's just a kind of mess, really.
Yeah, because there's essentially 3 days left of the year that needs to be finished. So
Right.
Trying to put a divider before those 3 days of the year to make it only 364 days only, you can't put that divider then before those 364 days are over.
Right. It does not Enoch say that it's a complete 364-day count?
Correct. And then the equal parts day will be equal with the night. And that will be the 364th day. So them putting the 364th day on the 365th day, you can't have 364 before 365. Or I'm sorry, you can't have 360. I'm getting all confused now, but you know what I'm saying. So it's they're putting one before the other.
I'm just staying confused myself.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm just staying confused myself. I've listened to so many different angles on it that I'm just completely messed up.
Well, so
if the calendar
one for you, Dwayne. Okay, here's a simple one for you. Yah's esteem. I am the beginning and the end. So he's the end of the year. He's also the beginning of the year. This is day 0. After his esteem, the straight line day, the year begins again.
It looks like it would clear up, make it easier to understand if we had a diagram of the last Sabbath of the year, with the 28th day, and then had each day and had a calendar with the whenever the null day is, and whenever the 365 day is, and whenever the equinox day is, and lay it out on a calendar, then it would be easier to understand.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
I need a show and tell type thing. We got to have it. At
Yeah,
least
yeah.
I
No,
have to have it.
I'm working on redoing the PDF. I know Sister Natalie's got a pretty nice PDF as well. Um, yeah, I'm definitely working on it. I'm not sure. Didn't you say you need to work on it a bit more still, Sister Natalie? If I
Yeah, I
remember
can
right.
throw up the PDF. I threw up the PNG graphics in the chat the other day. I can throw them in there again right now, but it's really pretty simple. So basically, we know the Zadok calendar has always been 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31. So you're just going to go through that. You're going to count 1 through 364. Then the day after that, we have an equinox. And then again, the day after the equinox, count 1 through 364. So we're not dividing month 12 up at the end of it. It's just 31 days.
Yes, perfect.
Wouldn't that make that
Okay,
easy?
thank you. Can you put that in the library?
Yeah, it is in the library. It's in the general chat section.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, what part of the fellowship library do you want me to drop it into? I'm finding it on the computer. Which category would be best? I can drop it in the general chat too first.
Yeah, or maybe the PDF section as well. Maybe we'll have to make a tab that like
So
calendar.
Yeah,
Angel
definitely.
said, "Where's the 31st day of the last month?" Well, the last month of the year, the 31st day will be day 364. Is he in the
Say that
general
again.
section? Angel asked, where is the 31st day of the last month? So the last month, the 31st day will be day 364.
Yeah, correct.
Then it's day 0?
Can you
Then
see
day
me?
0 after that. Yes, because
Sorry.
that's going to be. Sorry, who was that?
Can you see this?
Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
Okay, so this would be the top line is the count 361, 362, 363, 364. Okay, the 364 would be the 31st day, the last day of the year. Okay, which would be the 3rd day of the week. Then you go to the straight line shadow, which is day 0. And then we start the year again. First day, which will be the 4th day of the week. 5, 6, and then we count the Sabbaths from then on. So let me run through that. 361, 362, 363, 364, end of the year. It's the 31st day of the 12th month. Straight line shadow, 0, equinox, day 1 of the first year, which is the 4th day of the week. And we carry on, and then the 7th day would be the Sabbath. Does that help?
You know, there's still an elephant in the room that we haven't been talking about, and that's the every 4-year leap year.
Are you here, Marissa?
Yeah. Well,
I
I
think the
can.
easiest
No,
way to
I
do
didn't hear
that would
that.
be, you know,
Yeah.
make
Sorry.
the
I can answer that. Okay.
okay.
So next year, day 0 Next year, day 0 actually lasts for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then we start again. So our Sabbath next year will fall on a Tuesday. That is the leap year happening at the end of this year.
Yeah, so the leap years with the calendar don't line up with the leap years of the Gregorian like we thought before. I don't know if you're able to explain that a little bit more, Marissa, if you're able to, about the leap years. If you're still listening.
I
I
put up
should
a
be.
graphic in the chat of the 12th month if you want to just look for like a visual. Is day 0 a whole day like we experience morning, day, evening, and night, or is it just a pause? Is that day 0 a whole day?
Yeah, so normally it would be just that day long because we see in Enoch there's that 1.2 extra and it equals out to just a little bit extra each year that these days add up to because of that little bit extra that's there. And then hold on, sorry, one second.
So, Lisa, I don't know if this will help you. This kind of helped me understand the day 0 aspect of is when you think of the day of Joshua when he commanded the sun and moon to stay still and the sun didn't go down for about a whole day. That was like a pause in time. Now, this day out of time is kind of like that, except that's when the sun goes down through the north, to basically give a recount for the previous year, and Yah basically gives him like the thumbs up to go out again through the east, the 4th great gate, to start the race again.
Yes, that helps. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the leap year, because it'll add up every 4 years, and we base it based off the equinox when that happens. And we can see that the equinox will actually vary on when it does happen. So sometimes it'll start, in the evening before. Sometimes it'll start like right there in the morning. So there's a slight variance on when that happens, and that's because of that, 0.2 whatever extra that we do experience here. And that's where, every 4 years it'll add up to that extra day.
Are you using the Jerusalem time for that?
No, they're using the position of the north. So the north, what we were just speaking about, Marissa's presentation, that's really the whole importance of it all. That location in the north, that's where time ends and that's where time begins. And we're not saying, Jerusalem or Israel like that. We're not saying that that's not an important location, but that's not where time starts. It actually starts right there in the north.
Where's that location at on a flat Earth map?
It's right dead center, and it doesn't ever move. So that would mean that the date would be the same each year, would it not?
Oh, so the land that I was speaking about, because of that 3-hour missing time between America and Russia, there's 3 hours of time missing there.
Is it 3 hours of missing time or 3 time zones, or would that be 3 hours?
I think it is 3 hours.
Is it actually 3 hours?
Yeah, or it could be
that's
3
what
time
Madeline
zones.
Well,
found
it's 3
out.
time zones, whatever that covers.
Yeah,
Okay,
they said it was
yeah.
about a
Thank you.
3-hour period.
Sorry, Jeremy. Just trying to understand.
Okay, now you using that, Jeremy, is that the reason why some folks are thinking that the equinox will fall on the 19th of March this next year?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why there's such a variable in between readings and things from different parts of the earth. It's
And
Next year
considering
will
where
be the
people
20th.
But is this in the realm of speculation, or is this a fact? We don't know that, do we?
about the north.
No, about that space that you were talking about
Oh
between
no,
Russia
it's
and the
a
United
fact.
States.
It's a fact. You can look it up. There's 3 hours or 3 time zones, what have you, missing from where they claim the international dateline is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. It is a fact then. All right.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. They don't, right? It's not something that they teach us mainstream. It's something that they have like as information if you know what questions to ask, and they'll have the information available for you. They just won't willingly teach that to you. Madeline does an interesting series on the sides of the north that talks about that time zone that's that time zone that's pretty much just not really there / there.
She goes into pretty good detail and she shows a lot of older maps that there's a continent right there, and they've mapped it, all kinds of stuff. But in our modern maps, and even on the Gleason map, you don't see this continent there.
Is it a continent or is it like a big island?
It's a landmass. And
Yeah,
it's Jeremy, it's connected to Canada, right? Like it's not even necessarily separate from it.
something like that. Yeah, because
Think of it maybe like
it,
a land bridge kind of like thing.
yeah. And so on some older maps, there's like this extra section of land that what on speaking of different older maps, sorry, but ones that'll show like the north, it'll have this extra little set of land, and there's like 2 extra straits that go between this land that we don't see today. Actually, Madeline explains it probably better than I am. But like how there's a strait between Alaska and Russia. Well, what this map is showing is actually there's 2 straits there, and there's a landmass in between. So it's not like it's connected necessarily to it. There's still like some water in between there, but they do try to hide it. And when you are in like Alaska or say Russia, either side, you can see a landmass there, and it seems a lot closer than what they say, Alaska is from Russia. And there's many people that make that claim too. And I think it's actually a thing where they talk about it and like, oh, it just appears closer to, refraction and things like that. But I don't think that that's the case. I think it's because there's actually land there they're trying to hide.
It's a mirage.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we
Oh yeah,
can't see it because that 6-mile curve. I'm sorry.
That appears
yeah.
to be straight in front of us.
Yeah, no, Natalie just shared a good map of it and the video there in the chat.
Yeah, Natalie, be on it.
Yeah, I know, right? You're on fire, sister.
I have time on my hands.
Yeah. So we need to move to Alaska. Yeah, exactly. There you go, Sister Cheyenne.
Ooh, move to Alaska. I do love my snow boots.
Right? Yeah, so no, I would highly recommend watching The Sides of the North there, and then they say it's the land of Jesus. I say it's the land of Yahusha. That's what I call it. And yeah, as you can see on that map, Natalie shared, there's some
Isn't it
extra.
something Iso?
Yeah,
Isn't it
it's
like Iso?
yeah, like
Jesus.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
But
the
they don't
Greek.
have the S on the end, do they?
I'd have to look again.
That could be our Ieso. Ieso?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Ieso?
Because I've looked at it several times. It seems like it might even be spelt different on different maps, maybe depending on the language of the map maker.
Yeah, I think you're right,
Yeah.
Ellie. I think it depends on just what language people had when they drew on these maps. But it's still interesting that they all kind of depict the same thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Our question isn't made by the people who were outside of camp that were trying to make maps of how to get in during the dark ages, quote unquote.
I mean, I think so. I think, if it was the nations going to worship for the Feast of Tabernacles, they would have had to make maps to get there, right? So traveling, yeah, from wherever they were coming from, I mean, that's what makes sense in my head.
And Madeline also goes over like the sea right there, the ocean has yellow bricks there. And you guys were talking about movie references earlier, but one of the ones that I can think of is like how it was like the perversion in The Wizard of Oz of like follow the yellow brick road to find
Absolutely.
him.
The Emerald City.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
the
at
one
first,
reference I have.
yeah, and it's interesting that yellow brick road starts as a spiral too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep, like
That's
the
right.
center of the earth, a toroidal.
Yeah, wow. Wow. That's huge.
Wow.
And then also they make the Emerald City to look like a mountain.
And I think one of the verses say, the city that shines of emerald and gold and things, or maybe that's the glory of Yahuwah. But I know emerald is one of those.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the things that they needed to get there, right? Like a heart, courage, what was the other one? A brain.
Yeah, right. If I only had a brain, huh?
We need to stop being like the straw man and have a heart of flesh.
Yes. Wow. Lots of interesting correlations with that movie, huh?
Yeah, and the cast of that movie, as sad as it is and how much predictive programming there is in it, almost every one of those cast members got deathly ill, and a lot of them got cancer, and they didn't live very long lives.
Yep, that's usually how Hollywood goes away, but yeah. Yeah, and wait, what? So Sister Marissa said something about the leap year here. So the leap occurs when, for 2 days, the sun rises half up, half down on the horizon in the north.
Yeah, guys, Missouri is the place to be. Just come here. This is the central point. So,
Hey, right down here, we're right on the line.
All right?
Yeah, but Ellie,
That
you're close
green
enough to
line.
drive.
Pardon?
you're close to drive/pickup. You're close enough to drive/pickup.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
Sister Marissa keeps convincing me that Missouri's the place to be too. I haven't.
Ozark Plateau, I think, is where he's leading his children.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that, and Marissa, you're pretty convincing, and yeah, she said Ellie is close enough to drive. Yes. Yeah, a lot of people here are in Missouri, actually. So yeah.
I would throw out Iowa, Yahuah, Iowa. Just saying.
Oh wow, interesting. Is that close to Missouri?
It's right above it.
I thought so.
I'm not sure where Natalie lives, but I love taking road trips. Maybe I can convince Marissa to come with me and we can visit Natalie.
The Schlopsa Pisgah.
You know, my late husband used to tell me that Arkansas is the Ark of Kansas and that the Ark of the Covenant is here.
Wow.
That it's a safe place for people living in Kansas. That's why it's called Arkansas or Arkansas.
We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. No. Wow, another correlation with that movie, huh? Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
definitely
Jermaine, you'd
interesting.
have to come here because you have big spiders where you are. Even though I would love to look outside my window and see little baby kangaroos.
Right?
I'll just say, while I was up milking the goats just now, I had a big spider sitting on the side of the feeding trough for one of the girls, and I took a photo for you. And I thought of you, Miranda. I'll have to share it.
Oh, goody.
You know, baby kangaroos might be cute, but man, I saw this one man, it was bigger than a man, and it was up there and it was trying to fight and hurt the man, and I'm like, boy, I don't know.
Yeah, they can look quite buff, can't they, at times?
Wow, that's quite
Yes,
the
it's more what
spider
you're accustomed to.
there. No, that's quite the large size spider there, Sir Jermaine. It's not even a
No,
big one, huh?
no, that's a baby. Not quite a baby, but they do get about 3 or 4 times bigger.
Goodness, wow. Yeah, snakes and sheep don't mix very well. And yes, not me, Jeremy.
Jermaine, is that what kind of spider is that? Oh my gosh, it's huge. Oh, ugh.
That's just a huntsman. They just get all the bugs and the little flies and things like that. They're actually quite a handy thing to have around.
So it's
But they
harmless,
are
it
the
won't
ones.
bite?
It won't bite. No, it won't bite. It's they're ones that actually do reside in homes, and it's okay. That's okay. They won't hurt you at all. It's not nice to have one like go near you or touch you or climb up your leg or something,
Ugh.
because obviously, yeah. But these guys, they're quite fine. They're just like those little those little cute ones that the jumping spiders. They're actually the same. They're same as those, but they're just a giant form.
They're just a
That
big,
is
gentle
not the
giant.
same.
You know what?
Sorry?
I looked at that twice, 3 times, and I'm like, what spider? All I see is a I think it's a calf. And finally, I look at it again and, oh, okay, I'm squinting. Thank you for sharing your spiders with us.
I
It's
think they
little.
can
It's
get bigger
okay.
than that, though, can't they?
Yeah. That's just a little one. It's really not that big. Hey, Drew, that's not big, is it? No.
It's not good for my anxiety. No.
I was gonna say, oh my gosh. Faith. Is that another huntsman or oh my gosh.
Whoa.
They're just
Do they
they're
really
just
get
so
that big?
they're just so big. Oh my gosh.
That's a huntsman, but that one that I shared is just a little one, a little huntsman. They're truly okay. Truly okay. We actually watched a video just briefly last night of American. He really loves Australia and he does American. He does videos on weird things of Australia and he just loves Australia. But anyway, he showed a video of a lady having a huntsman in the actual car driving along and she jumped out. And,
Oh, I would wreck my
you
car.
guys, he goes, you guys are just mad. You're just, you're conditioned. But,
Do they get as big as your hand, the huntsman?
Probably not that big. Perhaps, maybe, if it's a really old one, well fed. But
Oh my.
yeah, they could possibly, but not regularly. It's a little bit less.
Can I ask you a question? Okay, so I was in Arkansas visiting some friends, and this house that they lived in, these spiders loved to come in. Well, this thing was pretty big. It was probably the size of 2 quarters, and then the legs. So 2 quarters of the body, and then the legs came out. I mean, it was a pretty big spider for me. And when they started spraying it, it put its 2 front legs up and started chasing toward them or coming toward them. Is that what a huntsman spider does? Because they were saying that was called a huntsman, huh?
Yeah, generally no. I mean, they can put that, but they can't. They don't do anything. I mean, we haven't
this
had
one
a
was
lot.
charging us as she was spraying it, and I screamed and ran out of the room. They're cracking up, and I went, "What kind of spiders do you have here?" Never seen a spider do that.
Yeah. Okay. So that one was super angry, but it's not like they don't normally attack. I don't think they've never attacked us, and we've never. I mean, I have sprayed a couple in my lifetime, but if there's anything in the bedroom, yes, it's got to go because I don't want anything jumping on me while I'm sleeping. But yeah, no, generally they just curl up. Really, just curl up and die.
So you just can't get one while it's hangry then.
Yeah, perhaps.
They don't
But we
bite
do.
normally, I don't think. This isn't sounding very reassuring to me.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. People have a fear of spiders. People have a fear of snakes, and some of them are deadly, and some of them aren't. And this isn't deadly. It isn't venomous. I've never had one charge at me. You don't hear of stories of that sort of thing happening here. So, yeah, but we do have the other ones we do have are the golden orb spiders. They are like, they can be bigger than your hand, and they do catch large moths. And there's also bird spiders, which they'll catch a bird in their webs. But they're the big ones. You generally don't.
Those bird spiders, they don't make webs either, right? They're like in the ground.
Well, the orb, she does. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked into it all, but there is bird spiders. I haven't had one.
I don't know if I can imagine a spider eating a bird. That's a big spider.
Yeah.
Kidding. Spiders that eat birds. Wow.
I think there's some that eat rats or mice too. And that's scary to think about.
Wow.
Yeah. No, thank
I
you.
think New York. I think New York needs some of those spiders then, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yet another reason why I wouldn't go back to New York too.
Right? No, I've heard the stories of their rats and yikes. Everybody's
Yeah,
sharing.
they're like mutant rats.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
heard.
they're huge.
So I have a story to share. When my daughter was little and we were at the beach, well, let me preface this. She was complaining. I don't know how old she was, maybe 8 years old. She was complaining she was having an earache. And I thought, okay, let me take her to the doctor. And the doctor, I don't know, he gave her some ointment to like put on her ear. It's kind of like right where, oh, how do I explain this piece of your ear? Like where your cheek is, like when you come over and there's that little like nub, and then you have your earlobe, that piece. So he gave us ointment to put on it, and I was like, okay. And then the next day I look at it and there's this thing like trying to like back out of this little puncture hole that was there, and it was like an egg sac, and I took tweezers and I pulled it out, and then all this, you know, pus and oozing came out of this little hole. So when we were at the beach, we were burying her under the sand. I don't know what it was, if it was a spider or what, but like actually pierced her to lay its egg sac in her ear. So Jermaine, that's why you don't want to have him in the bedroom. It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yep.
That's scary.
It is
Especially
scary. It is, right? Could you imagine all these little spiders or whatever hatching? Yeah, pretty crazy.
you just scared Kim from ever going to the beach again.
Just don't bury yourself in the sand.
I think Bobby posted, that's the brown recluse, isn't it, Bobby? What you shared? No, that's not a brown recluse. What is that? Oh, that's nasty.
Oh, that's an egg sack.
That is a
Yikes.
big egg sack. Oh my gosh, it's so big.
Yeah, Faith. Leviathan will pop out. What creature you want to battle?
Now,
Going
who
to the
here in
beach.
the chat has been in the desert? Because my husband was telling me a coworker of his, they have camel spiders in the desert, and those things are huge.
Yeah, in like Iraq and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
We
apparently they don't bite.
we
They're
have a
just looking for shade.
yeah,
But
so we have the same kind of spiders here, but they're smaller. And they call them
oh, in
scorpion
Arizona?
spiders. 'Cause yeah. So they look just like that, smaller, much, much smaller. But when you see them,
Wow.
they're super freaky looking. And it's
Mm.
like they look like this terrible monster that's gonna eat you, but they don't bite or anything. They're
Are
just
they're like tan?
chilling. Yeah, yeah, they're tan. They actually like their abdomen. Really, they look like a scorpion without the tail. But if you took a scorpion and kind of like flattened it out, I don't know. I'll have to get a picture of one, share it. They're freaky looking, but they don't bite.
Ooh, I'm
They're
looking at it right now. Oh, those things are freaky looking. Oh my gosh, no.
yeah. It's fun when you're sitting on your porch and one of those comes running across by your foot.
Mm.
Yeah, those golden orb spiders. Yeah, those are giant. I've heard of those.
They're magnificent to look at when you see them in real life. they're
Yeah,
very
yeah.
beautiful, but they're kind of freaky looking because they are big.
Yeah, there's the camel spider right there. Yeah, that's what the ones here kind of look like, but they're definitely not that big.
Miranda started it. Sorry, guys. If you guys ever have the pleasure of seeing me in person, I try not to get too crazy, but man, spiders are like, I don't know. I think they were made to be like an abomination. I believe spiders were like an amalgamation before the flood, because those things are not natural to me.
Yeah, I know, right? Some of them are pretty scary looking, but jumping spiders actually, they're pretty cool. They don't bite. Actually, Callan catches them all the time, and he has them run across his arms and hands. He's like, "Here, Dad." I'm like, "No, thanks."
So anyway, Dwayne, do you understand the calendar now?
Yeah.
We're hoping so much.
I think something did come to my attention. I was trying to remember. I made the statement that the 364th day was a Shabbat, but it's not. and I knew that, but I was just I don't know where my mind was, and that's what was throwing me off.
I
So I
get you.
think
I'm
that,
visual.
yeah. Anyway, I had to think and think until my brain almost melted, and then I figured out where I was wrong here. So yeah, I think I've got it pretty much together. Probably wrong, but I've got it together.
At least you got it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the chat got filled up with spiders, but
Even Ray was trying to explain this to me, and I couldn't understand him either. And he's one of the easiest people to understand that I know. But I'm with you now, Ray. If you're still there.
I see him in chat.
Ray.
I see he's still here.
He got distracted.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like there's an information overload, and we look at so many different points of view of all these calendars, and then it's like, wait, what one are we doing? So that's why it's always good to study the original so that you know what you're doing and you can spot differences.
Yeah. Yeah, no, interesting thing about mosquitoes, Cheyenne, is it's the female ones that suck the blood, but what they're really meant to do is get the whatever it is out of plants. Because plants actually, in plants, they have some of the same stuff that's in our blood. And so probably after the fall and things like that, that's when they started sucking blood instead of plants.
Hey, Jeremy.
Do you think that demons from the Nephilim inhabit some of these creatures?
I think probably that some of these creatures have been genetically modified. I'm very suspicious of things like the octopus, for example, very unusual creature. I'm suspicious of the pig, shall I say it? I think that could be a human hybrid. Not too sure about that, but that's the way that I'm thinking. Spiders, to me, are also falling in that. Don't they have a several set of eyes? I don't think they have 2 eyes. I think, is it 6 eyes they have? Anything with more than the normal computation of limbs and eyes, I always get a bit suspicious about brains. Doesn't an octopus have 3 hearts and 2 brains or something? It's really confusing.
No, you're right. Yeah, I think they have like 8 eyes, spiders. And yeah, octopus have like a bunch of different hearts and brains and all kinds of weird stuff.
So I think depending on the species of spider, some of them, I mean, some of them have 6 legs, some have 8, some have 4 eyes, some have 6. Like I think it just depends on like what species of spider. And I think everything has an original source, but I think things were amalgamated so much during the flood that it's hard to maybe understand what was the original source, if that makes sense. Um, because I don't know, yeah, like you said, Ken, I think there's many creatures that are very highly suspicious that I'm like, what is your purpose here?
The reason I mentioned that is, you know how Messiah sent the demons into the herd of swine. So creatures can be inhabited by demons, and I'm just wondering how many creatures could be. And I've even thought, well, you know what they call a virus, which we can't see or they seemingly can't replicate in the laboratory, but they say they exist anyway. Could those be demons? Doesn't make any difference how small the organism might be or the creature might be, but if they can inhabit a living creature, then they could inhabit bacteria. They could inhabit viruses, if there are any such thing as viruses.
Yeah, I'm with you on that,
And
Dwayne. There's been quite a few things that I've come across, especially on YouTube, with regards to parasites and
mhm.
how bad gut health with lots of parasites can actually affect your behaviour. I can remember playing golf with a doctor, and he was saying that the only reason that he doesn't believe in God is that actually parasites can control behaviour. Obviously, he's done lots of parasitical sort of behaviour, but I didn't know the fact that back then that maybe there is a demonic force within parasites within our body, and hence the reason for dietary laws and clean eating.
Yeah, yeah. It could
So
be that every illness, every infection, anything that is destructive to our bodies could be demon infested.
Yes, I agree. I think that actually parasites are, well, I can't prove anything, but that are demonic in nature. And you won't find a virus in nature. It's not a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty much sure of that too.
So somebody said that the name or the term virus is actually a Latin word, and what it means in Latin isn't the same thing that it means in English. It actually means poison, to be poisoned.
Yeah, I have heard that too. Mhm.
But to answer Angel's question about the 31st, that's just a seasonal interchanging day. It's the next day after that, Angel, that is considered a Sabbath, not the 7th-day Sabbath, but the head of the season. So that would be treated like the Noah days, because Noah ordained them for himself as days of rest, as Sabbaths. And so then Yah wrote them on the heavenly tablets to be observed as a rest day with no work. But it
Yeah,
doesn't
just
replace,
like, oh,
sorry.
sorry. No, just Ezekiel and Amos say, yeah.
Yeah, so it won't be the 31st because that's just the seasonal intercalary day. So then the next day, which would be the first day of the new month, and that will be a day of remembrance, a Sabbath, but not the 7th-day Sabbath.
Okay, so the memorials go from the use the intercalary day. It's the day right after, correct?
Yeah, so you'll have the 31st. That's the interchange between, whatever season it's changing from whether it's from spring to summer. And then the next day, which will be the head of the season. So like, let's say like the head of summer, that will be a day of remembrance because those are Noah ordained days, and that's treated like a Sabbath, but not the seventh day of Sabbath, obviously.
Yeah, and going back to my event stroke celebration thing that I spoke about a bit earlier, the event for the Memorial Day is actually to have a memorial meal the day before the celebration of the head of the spring or summer or winter or autumn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's what, so in Enoch, he's describing those 31st days every 3 months. But in Jubilees, he's describing those heads of the months after those 31st days, which are the Noah ordained days. And that's because of the events that happened during the flood as well.
And I
We
think if
actually,
you read the book of Tobit, he is having a memorial meal, i.e. a meal before the celebratory day, the Sabbath day next day, where he goes out to find someone to share the meal with.
exactly. And something else interesting about that is in 1 Samuel 20, because, when David's speaking with Jehonathan, and he says, look, tomorrow's the head of the month. Well, what are they looking at, and how do they know tomorrow's the head of the month? Perhaps that straight line shadow? Just something,
Ooh, I like that, Jeremy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was something me and Marissa were talking about the other day, too. Because it makes sense. Because that's exactly what he says. He's like, look, tomorrow's the head of the month. Well, what are they looking at? There can only be really one answer. And we see how,
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, we're definitely going to be making more connections to the calendar as well, and to the season of deception, things like that. And yeah, you could be right there, Brother Angel. You know, when we speak, actually, really, that that connects with what we're talking about today. The cymatics. The word of Yahuah. That's those. His word is the frequency of healing. So our words, just like when we speak, they put out a frequency. So if we're putting out frequencies like, and we're saying, oh, well, I don't feel well, or I'm sick, or whatever it is, we can be word cursing ourselves,
I think I see that with a lot of folks that complain about illnesses. They never seem to get better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because they're always like the woe is me kind, and they're cursing themselves with their words, being their own stumbling block. You to say something, Sister Jermaine?
Oh, yeah. So I was just had a question for Marissa. I was listening back over, I think it was the last Shabbat meeting, and you mentioned something about a 2-hour presentation, not the Jackson Snyder one, but another 2-hour presentation. Can you please link that so I can share that over to my saved messages? And then then we can also listen back over to this one as well. There was a few things resonating with me. So when you guys are generally talking about all this intricate, detailed numbers and all these sorts of things, I'm generally about my day doing things because it's Monday And we haven't sat down and just really gone through everything. But I'd like to just have I want to get the whole overview. I want to have my whole full attention on it instead of, everything else going on in the background, because my concentration span doesn't go very well. I'm a female, but not that great. You know how we can do all sorts of multiple things at once. Sometimes when it comes to understanding intricacy at the same time as doing something else and concentrating on something else, I just can't do it. So yeah, I need it all there. So yeah, the 2-hour one, I don't know what you were talking about. I just need that one, please.
I think that's the one on my channel. I shared it earlier. Let me go find it. I'll share it again.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jermaine, I'm much like you. When it comes to everything else, I'm able to multitask very easily, but it's really hard to have like a study that has such in-depthness, like obviously like Yah's word. And I can't do, if I'm watching a study, I have to watch it or else it won't like stick. Like I really have to hone in on it because it's so detailed. It's not just background noise, right? It's like the most
Yeah.
important thing. So
Yeah, and for me, I need to actually, stop and start, pause, try to get that sentence in and understand. Sometimes you guys speak so fast on some stuff, and I'm still trying to understand the first sentence, let alone the fourth. So having it in video is really good because then we can just stop it, digest that, chew on that, move next. Okay, yeah, because you need to know what was said prior before you can understand the rest. And yeah, got to slow it down for us oldies.
Hey, you guys.
Hi.
I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you guys.
Shabbat Shalom, brother.
And secondly, I wanted to share something with you guys. This minister here, his name is Dan Muller. I think I've shared videos before, but he is the single most, I would say, so to speak, powerful minister I've ever seen in my life in regards of how he preaches about knowing Mashiach and the purpose of Mashiach coming and dying for our sins was to be restored back to the image of Yahuah rather than essentially the rest of the world, which is more or less walking in the image of the devil. But anyways, I wanted to share this video with you. I highly encourage you, if you guys need edification, encouragement, if you guys need a different perspective on the gospel message itself, which I believe is a highly anointed message, I would encourage you guys to at least one time check out one video of his. But this is the one I would encourage you guys to check out. I think you guys will get it pretty much immediately once you start watching it. Why I say what I say about him. Wonderful man.
What is his name? What is his name again, Angel?
It's Dan Moeller, looks like.
Dan Moeller. Yeah, Dan Moeller.
How do you spell Moeller? M-O-L-E-R?
There's a video in the chat. It's M-O-H-L-E-R.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, brother. And yeah, Marissa, do you want to bring that up live? Yeah, no much love to you, brother. If not, I could read what you wrote if you want me to. All right, I'll read it. Hold on, let me see how much time we got. Ooh, we got like 2 minutes. Let me stop the recording real quick, and then I'll start another one, and then I'll go ahead and read it. Give me 1 second here.